Hi, welcome back guys. This is your sensei, back with another fanfiction. This is the first part of What If Naruto Becomes God of Everything? Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. Naruto Uzumaki was a young man with sun-kissed blonde hair, light blue eyes, and 3 whisker-like marks on each cheek. An orphan since the attack of the QB 5 years ago, he had been treated like a monster. The parents of his peers warned their children to stay away from him, leaving Naruto to live a solitary life. Yearning for recognition, he resorted to pulling pranks, just like his late mother, Kushina Uzumaki. Feeling hungry, Naruto left his apartment and headed to Ichiraku Ramen, where the owner and his daughter treated him with kindness, a rarity he cherished. As he walked toward his destination, a group of Chunin surrounded him, and fear gripped his heart. One of the Chunin accused him of being a monster and struck him in the stomach, unleashing a torrent of anger. The Chunin, filled with hatred, declared that Naruto did not deserve to live, raising a kunai to end his life. Just then, a female ANBU, clad in a traditional black and gray outfit with a cat mask, intervened. She glared at the Chunin, releasing a powerful aura that caused him to collapse, trembling in fear. The other Chunin, frightened by the display, fled the scene. The ANBU turned her attention to Naruto, assuring him that he was safe now. It was a moment of vulnerability for Naruto as he questioned why he was treated this way despite having done nothing wrong. The ANBU, unsure of how to comfort him, hugged him tightly and promised they would visit the Hokage together before heading to Ichiraku Ramen. At the mention of his favorite place, Naruto's tears began to dry, replaced by excitement. After a brief moment, they entered the Hokage's office upon his invitation. The Sandaime Hokage, dressed in traditional Kage garb, welcomed them warmly. Naruto, filled with joy, rushed to hug the Hokage, who embraced him in return. Concern etched on Hiruzen's face, he asked how Naruto was doing. With a heavy heart, Naruto expressed his despair over being treated poorly, tears streaming down his cheeks. In response, Hiruzen's aura shifted, radiating a fierce intensity that sent shivers through the village. He slammed his hand on the table, causing it to splinter, and expressed his frustration over the civilian council's restrictions that prevented him from protecting Naruto. Commanding the ANBU to find the Chunin responsible for Naruto's pain, he felt a deep sadness for the boy's suffering. Naruto, ever optimistic, reassured the Hokage that he understood how busy he was and declared his ambition to become Hokage one day, bringing a smile to Hiruzen's face. The Hokage suggested they all go to Ichiraku Ramen, and Naruto's excitement was palpable as he cheered for their outing. At the ramen shop, Tuchi greeted them with laughter, calling for his daughter Ayam to assist. When Ayam arrived, she playfully teased Naruto, who blushed at the attention. After placing their orders, Naruto's eyes sparkled with anticipation as he requested an enormous amount of food, leaving everyone astonished. Tuchi promised to have their meals ready shortly. After enjoying their meal, Naruto returned to his apartment, feeling the weight of loneliness and the absence of parental love. Tears fell silently until he sensed a presence in his room. A voice, powerful yet calming, addressed him, startling Naruto. The voice reassured him that he was not in danger and introduced itself as Cammy, expressing a desire to talk. Skeptical, Naruto questioned how he could trust this being. In response, Cammy snapped his fingers, summoning 2 figures from thin air. One was a man with spiky blonde hair and blue eyes, dressed in a jounin vest and a white cloak adorned with flames. The other was a woman with red hair and purple eyes, wearing a beautiful dress. They were Minato Namikaze, the Yondaime Hokage, and Kushina Uzumaki, Naruto's parents. Minato addressed Naruto, who was awestruck to see his idol alive. When Minato revealed he knew Naruto's name, the boy trembled with disbelief. Kushina, with tears of joy, referred to him as her son. Overwhelmed with emotion, Naruto realized he finally had a family, and he cried out, embracing the truth he had longed for. Kushina and Minato allowed Naruto to cry for a while, knowing he needed to express his sorrow. Kushina embraced Naruto tightly, gently caressing his face, and Minato joined in the hug. They held him close for several minutes until they heard a cough. Cammy announced that they had more important matters to discuss, leaving Minato, Kushina, and Naruto confused. Cammy revealed that he was there to train Naruto as his successor, the next god of everything. This revelation left Naruto in shock and disbelief. Naruto asked if he was truly going to be trained by Cammy. Cammy confirmed that, as the prophecy foretold, Naruto was the chosen one. He would face many challenges on his journey, but Cammy would be there to guide him and help him become a legend. Naruto pinched himself to confirm it was real, and the pain reassured him. He was meeting his real parents and destined to become a future god, filling him with immense joy. Curious about how he would become strong, Naruto inquired further. Cammy explained that he would teach Naruto how to wield his chakra, properly use the Kyuubi's power, and awaken his many Zanpakuto. Naruto tilted his head in confusion when he heard the term Zanpakuto. Cammy simplified the explanation, stating that a Zanpakuto is a weapon forged from a Shinigami's soul, typically one per Shinigami. However, Naruto's eyes sparkled with excitement when he realized he could have more than one Zanpakuto. When Naruto asked about having many Zanpakuto, Cammy chuckled and clarified that he was a special case. Born with one Zanpakuto, Naruto gained another due to being the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. Additionally, he absorbed the Hogyoku, which contained Aizen's Zanpakuto, Kyoka Suigetsu. Naruto expressed his awe at how powerful that sounded. Cammy confirmed that Kyoka Suigetsu's Shurikai was true illusion, trapping anyone who looked at it in an inescapable illusion. For the other two Zanpakuto, Naruto would need to learn their names to use them. As the moment drew to a close, Minato and Kushina began to fade away. Minato expressed sorrow at having to leave again, knowing they had returned only to depart once more. This realization brought deep sadness to both parents, who wished to raise Naruto and give him the love he deserved. Naruto cried out, feeling the weight of their impending departure. He had never cried this hard before, not during his hardships or near-death experiences, but the thought of losing. His parents again overwhelmed him. Kushina urged him to listen, reminding him that despite the difficulties he faced in the past 5 years, both she and Minato would always love him and be proud of him. With tears in her eyes, she said goodbye, and Minato vanished. Cammy comforted Naruto with a gentle pat on his back. Determined, Naruto asked Cammy when they would begin training so he could make his parents proud. Cammy smiled and suggested they first go to his dimension, placing a hand on Naruto's shoulder as they disappeared in a flash. 2 years passed since Cammy began training Naruto as his successor. Many changes had taken place in Naruto's life. Now standing at 4 feet and 5 inches, he had grown taller for his age. His sun-kissed blonde hair had transformed into long, snow-white locks that covered one eye, reminiscent of Madara's style. His eyes now featured several rings with 9 tomo, having gained the Rinne Sharingan in both eyes after consuming the Shinju fruit given to him by Cammy. This fruit not only granted him the Rinne Sharingan but also the Byakugan and the eternal form of the Manjikyu Sharingan. Dressed in a traditional battle kimono made of fine gold and silver silk, Naruto wore a golden sash to secure it. The back of his kimono displayed a dragon and phoenix surrounding the kanji for God, and he wore traditional wooden sandals. His 3 Zanpakuto hung from his kimono in their sealed forms. Through his training with Cammy, he had awakened his other Zanpakuto, including his own named Zangetsu and the powerful Zanpakuto Ryujin Jaka, previously wielded by Yamamoto, the head captain of the Soul Society. In a flashback, Naruto had once asked Cammy about a mysterious fruit in his hand. Cammy explained that it was the Shinju fruit, a unique creation of his own. This fruit would grant Naruto 3 special dojutsu, the Rinne Sharingan, the Byakugan, and later the Tenseigan, along with the eternal Manjikyu Sharingan. It would also provide him with the ability to use Mokutan, Enten, and a special Kekkei Genkai that Cammy would reveal later. Naruto felt a surge of excitement, knowing he was destined for great power. Returning to the present, Naruto expressed his eagerness to learn Zenjutsu, Hoho, and Kido now that he had awakened all 3 of his Zanpakuto. Cammy smiled at Naruto's impatience and agreed to begin training him in the way of the sword first, followed by Hoho and finally Kido. Over the next year, Cammy trained Naruto for 16 hours a day. By the end of that time, Naruto had mastered Zenjutsu and could challenge Cammy in a duel. His fighting style was unpredictable yet effective, and he had also mastered Shuinpa, moving so swiftly that he could rival even the Flash goddess, Yoruchi. While his Kido skills were still developing, they were far from weak. In fact, they were quite formidable. Naruto had nearly completed his training in Heido and was now capable of using Heido number 1 to Heido number 99 without a chant. His Bakudo was somewhat weaker than his Heido, which was expected since Naruto was more of an attacker than a defensive fighter. After finishing his training in the Shinigami arts, he began his shinobi training, starting with Taijutsu. He trained with 100 pounds of weight on each limb and 200 pounds on his chest, totaling 600 pounds. He ran 20 laps around Cammy's dimension and engaged in push-ups and daily sparring sessions with Cammy. As Naruto adapted to the weight, Cammy doubled it each time, which frustrated Naruto. Cammy encouraged him to develop his own fighting style instead of imitating others. Through trial and error and constant sparring with his master, Naruto created his own style called Zettai Ken, Absolute Fist, which relied on pure strength, reminiscent of Goken, Strong Fist, from Madogai. Naruto trained relentlessly and, after much sparring with Cammy, he finally mastered Zettai Ken. Cammy also taught him how to release the 8 gates, and due to the godly essence bestowed upon him by his master, he would not perish upon releasing the final gate. As they prepared for a sparring match, Cammy challenged Naruto to demonstrate his mastery of Taijutsu. Naruto unleashed one of his Zettai Ken moves, delivering a punch that traveled at an astonishing speed, surprising even Cammy. Cammy dodged the punch with a laugh, teasing Naruto about his strength. Annoyed by the mockery, Naruto was determined to prove himself. He called upon the 8 gates, releasing their power, which enveloped him in a fiery red aura as his skin darkened. With a confident smirk, Naruto declared that he would show his master his strongest technique. Cammy, sensing the intensity of Naruto's power, became wary, as Naruto had never opened all 8 gates during their sparring sessions before. Naruto moved with incredible speed, executing his attack, which caused tremors and shockwaves as it struck Cammy. The impact caused Cammy to cough up blood, though Naruto was unaware that his master was gravely injured. Concerned, Naruto asked what was happening. Cammy, losing energy, revealed that it was time for him to depart. As he began to fade away, Naruto cried out in despair. Cammy expressed his pride in having found a successor in Naruto and reminded him that even gods could die. He urged Naruto to live without regrets and promised to watch over him from the heavens. With one last piece of advice about the Jubi sealed within him, Cammy faded away, leaving Naruto in shock and sorrow. When Naruto regained consciousness, he found himself in a vast sewer, facing a massive jail. Inside, he saw a gigantic fox with orange and red fur, towering at 100 feet tall with 10 tails swaying in the air. The 10-tailed beast greeted him with a haughty laugh, mocking Naruto's arrival. Naruto, unfazed, remarked on how the beast didn't seem scary at all, finding it rather adorable, which only annoyed the creature. Kurama, the beast, was taken aback by Naruto's unexpected reaction and expressed frustration at being called adorable. Naruto, undeterred, playfully teased Kurama, who threatened to eat him if not for the seal that bound them. As Naruto approached the jail, Kurama was surprised by his boldness. When Naruto began to pet Kurama's fluffy tail, the beast blushed, revealing a softer side. Kurama, now flustered, transformed into a woman with an hourglass figure, beautiful crimson hair, and striking red eyes. She wore a pink kimono that accentuated her figure, leaving Naruto momentarily speechless. Kurama, swaying her hips, playfully asked if Naruto liked what he saw. Realizing who she was, Naruto's eyes widened in surprise. Kurama, sensing the awkwardness, acknowledged the passing of Cammy and expressed her sadness. Naruto confirmed the news and shared that Cammy had entrusted him to complete his training. Kurama decided to set aside the somber mood and began Naruto's training with the Kagebunshin no Jutsu, shadow clone technique. When Naruto questioned the need for this technique, Kurama explained that unlike the basic clone technique, the Kagebunshin created solid clones capable of independent thought and sharing a portion of his techniques and strength. Any experience gained by the clones would be transferred back to him. Understanding the benefits of the technique, Naruto realized it was perfect for him, given his immense chakra reserves as an Uzumaki and the Jubi Jinchuriki. Kurama teased him about the potential of completing a month's worth of training in just one day with this technique. As Kurama reminded Naruto that it was time to awaken and return to the real world, he scratched his cheek, contemplating the next steps in his journey. Naruto inquired about the training method. Kurama, feeling a bit exasperated, instructed him to close his eyes and then open them again. Following the advice, Naruto complied and soon found himself awake and standing. Kurama asked if he could hear him, to which Naruto confirmed he could hear him clearly. Curious about how to proceed with his training, Naruto sought Kurama's guidance. Kurama suggested that he use the shadow clone technique to create 5,000 clones. With a determined expression, Naruto softly uttered the technique's name, and in a puff of smoke, 5,000 clones of himself appeared. Once the clones were ready, Naruto asked what to do next. Kurama explained that as the host of the Ten Tails, Naruto had control over the 5 elements: water, earth, wind, lightning, and fire. He continued, noting that Naruto also possessed would release from the Senju lineage and blaze release from his eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Kurama then assigned tasks to the clones. 200 would practice tree climbing, another 200 would work on water walking, 300 would focus on earth release techniques, 300 on wind release, 300 on fire release, 300 on water release, and another 300 on lightning release. Additionally, 300 clones would practice wood release, and another 300 would work on blaze release, while the remaining clones would practice using the Rinnegan techniques that Kurama had taught him. The clones responded with a mock salute and began their training in nature transformations and dojutsu. Time passed, and 4 years later, Naruto had made significant progress under Kurama's mentorship. The bond between them had grown stronger as they spent time together. Now 12 years old and standing at 5 feet 7 inches, Naruto still had his long snow-white hair and sky-blue eyes, with his Rinne Sharingan currently inactive. He wore the same battle kimono from years past, with his Zanpakuto secured at his side. Over the last 4 years, Naruto had mastered the 5 elements, wood release and blaze release. He had also honed his dojutsu and the 6 paths of the Rinnegan, creating numerous S, SS, and SSS-ranked jutsus of various elements. Additionally, he learned to infuse wind chakra into his Zanpakuto, enhancing its power. With a grin, Naruto decided it was time to return to Konoha and began his journey back. "Kid, this may be a bit late, but didn't you know that you could have used Cammy as a fast travel to Konoha?" Kurama remarked, and Naruto felt a wave of embarrassment wash over him, thinking to himself that he was quite foolish. Naruto expressed his frustration, questioning why Kurama hadn't mentioned it earlier. Kurama playfully scolded him, mentally hitting him on the head while calling him a fool repeatedly. As they continued their light-hearted bickering, they approached the gate of Konohagakure, the village hidden in the leaves. "Welcome to Konoha. May I ask what your business is here?" the ever-watchful Chunin, Izumo Kamizuki, inquired. Naruto introduced himself, bowing slightly as he said he was formerly known as Naruto Uzumaki. He paused for a moment, and Izumo's partner, Kotetsu, leaned in closer, eager to hear Naruto's reason for visiting. Clearing his throat, Naruto declared his intention to become Hokage, causing both Izumo and Kotetsu to fall back in surprise. Naruto couldn't help but grin, thinking that his declaration always had the same effect. Suddenly, 4 figures clad in ANBU attire and wearing animal masks appeared, announcing their intent to detain him on the orders of Danzo Shimura and the Civilian Council. Naruto laughed, pointing out that only the Hokage had the authority to issue such orders, and clearly, they were not the Hokage. The leader of the ANBU, undeterred, threatened to take him by force. They unleashed their killing intent, hoping to intimidate the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, but Naruto remained unfazed. Having trained with Kurama's killing intent for years, he found their attempts laughable. With a smirk, Naruto released a small fraction of his own killing intent, which enveloped the area like a heavy fog. The ANBU members felt an overwhelming pressure, as if they were in the presence of a deity. Unable to withstand it, they collapsed, unconscious. Turning around, Naruto noted the fallen guards of Konoha and chuckled at the situation. Kurama teased him about his lack of subtlety, to which Naruto rolled his eyes in response. In the Hokage Tower, it was a typical day for the Hokage, buried under piles of paperwork. However, he was momentarily distracted by reading a book signed by its author, chuckling at its content. Suddenly, a voice broke the silence, causing Hiruzen to jump in surprise. He quickly composed himself and looked up to see a man with snow-white hair and blue eyes, dressed in a striking gold and silver battle kimono. Hiruzen was taken aback, realizing the stranger had entered without him noticing, nor had the NB. He set aside his book and focused on the man before him. "Did you forget about me, Hokage?" Naruto said, his eyes glistening with nostalgia. The recognition sparked a memory in Hiruzen's mind. Only Naruto had ever referred to him as Hokage Jiji. Despite the change in Naruto's appearance, his blue eyes and familiar whisker marks remained. Hiruzen stood and embraced Naruto tightly, his emotions overwhelming him. He expressed how much he had missed Naruto and how he wished he could have done more for him during his childhood. Naruto smiled, sharing that he had experienced many things during his time away. Then requested that the ANBU leave the room to ensure their conversation remained private. Recognizing Naruto's strength, the ANBU complied and departed. Once alone, Naruto recounted his adventures, including meeting a being called Subete no Cammy, discovering his heritage, and training under various masters, including Kurama. Hiruzen listened intently, though he faltered at the mention of the Kyuubi. Hours passed as they talked, and eventually, Hiruzen presented Naruto with a key to the mansion of Minato and Kushina, along with a significant sum of money from the Uzumaki and Namikaze clans. Curious, Hiruzen asked about the secret to Naruto's father's ability to handle paperwork. With a grin, Naruto revealed the answer: the shadow clone technique. Hiruzen, exasperated, slammed his head onto his desk, muttering to himself about the foolishness of it all, while Naruto watched with amusement. Thanking Hiruzen, Naruto announced his intention to explore the mansion. As he walked away, Hiruzen reflected on how much Naruto had grown and felt a pang of guilt for not being there for him during his formative years. Suddenly, Kurama interjected, informing Naruto that there was a summoning contract hidden in the Namikaze mansion. The Phoenix contract, the rarest and one of the strongest summoning contracts, was mentioned alongside the dragon contract of the Otsutsuki clan, which could be obtained later on the moon. Naruto raised an eyebrow at the mention of the powerful Phoenix contract. Inside the Namikaze mansion, Kurama guided him, instructing him to place the key in the lock and apply his blood to the seal. Following the instructions, Naruto nodded and complied. As the gate opened, he noticed the grass was neatly trimmed, suggesting someone had been there recently. Naruto entered a room labeled Contracts. "This is it, the Phoenix summoning contract of the Uzumaki clan," Kurama said, mentally grinning at Naruto. Stepping outside the mansion, Naruto placed his blood on the contract. His hand moved through the symbols of boar, dog, bird, monkey, and ram before he slammed it on the ground, calling forth the phoenix with a powerful summoning technique. A giant phoenix, towering at 60 feet, emerged, its white flames and beautiful feathers radiating elegance, complemented by its striking crimson eyes. "I am Eternus, the chief summon of the phoenix, hailing from Mount Eternity," the majestic creature announced. "Who has summoned me?" Naruto introduced himself as Naruto Otsutsuki, the successor to Subete no Cammy, and bowed respectfully. "Ah, Naru-sama, my apologies," Eternus replied, acknowledging Naruto's esteemed lineage. "For you to earn my approval, you must challenge me to a battle." Naruto nodded, placing a hand on Eternus's shoulder before using Kamui to transport them to a barren land, ready for their duel. "Very well, let me begin," Eternus declared, preparing his technique. Phoenix style, eternal flames. He unleashed a torrent of white flames toward Naruto, melting the dirt and rock in their path. Naruto became intangible using Kamui, evading the attack. His eyes transformed into the eternal Manjikyu Sharingan, mirroring Sasuke's design. "My turn!" Naruto exclaimed, his left eye bleeding as he activated Amaterasu. Enormous black flames surged toward Eternus, who was caught off guard as the flames struck him. "What are these flames?" Eternus exclaimed, realizing he had to resort to his regeneration technique to heal his wounds. "It's time to end this," Naruto said calmly, preparing a powerful spell. Heido number 90, Black Coffin. A massive black coffin enveloped Eternus, spears piercing through it. After a brief moment, the coffin vanished, revealing Eternus's large form, weakened and bloodied. Even though Naruto had only used a fraction of his power, he realized it had been too much for Eternus. Remembering he could heal him, Naruto chanted, "Completely recovery," infusing his energy into Eternus. A bright light enveloped the phoenix, and in moments, Eternus appeared rejuvenated. "I thank you, Naruto-sama. You have won this battle, and you may summon me as you wish," Eternus said, bowing in gratitude. Naruto shook his head, expressing his regret. "No, it was my fault. I didn't realize how strong I was." With a puff of smoke, Eternus returned to Mount Eternity, leaving Naruto to ponder his newfound strength. He recognized the need to create a seal to restrict his powers to prevent accidentally harming others. Exhausted, Naruto returned to Konoha and settled down for the night in the Namikaze mansion. Naruto woke up from his sleep, sensing a presence outside his mansion. Rubbing his eyes and yawning, he turned to see a man in Anbu clothing and a mask. The man informed Naruto that he had been summoned by the Hokage and needed to go immediately. Naruto wondered why the Hokage would summon him so early in the morning, thinking it might be about attending the academy. He quickly got dressed and used his new crow Shunshin to arrive at the Hokage's office. Inside, Hiruzen had created 2 shadow clones to handle paperwork while he read Ika Ika Paradise. Noticing a flock of crows cawing, he was surprised when they vanished to reveal Naruto, now wearing a traditional black shirt with the Otsutsuki clan symbol on the back, black pants, and combat boots. Hiruzen thought to himself that he had never seen such a Shunshin before. Hiruzen expressed his pleasure at Naruto's quick arrival and shared his intention to enroll him in the academy, making him an official shinobi of the village. He explained the 4 ranks in a shinobi village: Genin, Chunin, Jounin, and Gi. Naruto faintly nodded, confused about why he was being sent to the academy when the students were already graduating. He asked Hiruzen why he had to attend on graduation day, to which Hiruzen smiled and explained that the civilian council would not allow him to skip ranks and become a Jounin immediately. Naruto pouted but accepted the situation, realizing that Hiruzen could pull strings to let him in as long as he knew the 3 academy jutsus: Kawarimi no Jutsu, Bunshin Jutsu, and Henge no Jutsu. Internally, Naruto laughed at the thought of needing to use such basic techniques when he had created S-rank jutsus. At the academy, Irika Yumino, the teacher, announced to the class that a new student, Naruto Otsutsuki, formerly known as Naruto Uzumaki, would be joining them. As Naruto entered the room, he smiled at everyone, causing the girls to giggle and blush while the boys grumbled in annoyance. Naruto noted that this class included many clan heirs, including the last Uchiha, Aburame, Nara, Akimichi, Hyuga, Inuzuka, Yamanaka, and some children of the civilian council. Kiba, the Inuzuka clan heir, questioned why Naruto could join on graduation day, a sentiment echoed by others in the class. Irika explained that it was due to the Hokage's order. He had been instructed to take Naruto into his class, but Naruto would only graduate if he passed the necessary requirements. The first test was a written exam, which Naruto found easy, having learned from Kurama. He noticed the questions were at Chunin level and suspected someone wanted him to fail. Indeed, Mizuki had plans to use Naruto to steal a forbidden scroll. Irika announced that the second test would be a Taijutsu spar with Mizuki. The clan heirs easily passed, while the civilian students struggled due to their lack of training. When it was Naruto's turn, he took his stance for Zettai Ken while Mizuki attempted to fight him. Naruto easily dodged Mizuki's attacks, which only served to frustrate Mizuki further. As Mizuki prepared to use a jutsu, Naruto decided to finish the match with a single strike. He quietly muttered the name of his technique, and a red aura enveloped his fist as he struck Mizuki in the stomach. Holding back, he used only a fraction of his strength, sending Mizuki crashing into the wall, where he fainted. Iruka declared Naruto the winner, and the girls were in awe of his strength, while Sasuke, surprised, thought that perhaps Naruto could help him find answers about Itachi. The boys were annoyed by the girls' admiration for Naruto, and a certain Nara found the situation troublesome. The next test involved shuriken and kunai throwing. Most clan heirs scored well, with Sasuke impressively scoring 9 out of when it was Naruto's turn. He closed his eyes, which the civilian students interpreted as arrogance. He threw the shuriken and kunai, hitting the targets perfectly, scoring a perfect 10 out of 10, which elicited cheers from the fangirls. Iruka then asked if anyone could perform elemental jutsus. Both Naruto and Sasuke raised their hands, surprising Sasuke, who received a foxy grin from Naruto. Iruka asked Sasuke to demonstrate, and he performed the great fireball technique, creating a crater in the wall. Next, Naruto leaped onto the stage, looking smug. He performed the hand seals for his technique, though he didn't need them, as it wasn't the time to reveal his full abilities. He called upon the majestic fire destruction, unleashing a massive cone of intense white fire that demolished everything in its path for 100 feet. The class was left speechless, their jaws dropped as they watched in awe. Naruto mentally grinned, thinking that if they only knew the true extent of his power, they would be even more astonished. They couldn't believe that someone their age could use such a high-ranking and powerful jutsu. Iruka thought about the immense amount of chakra required for such a technique, and it shocked him deeply. As a chunin, he understood the significance of Naruto's abilities. Impressed, Iruka nervously laughed and acknowledged Naruto's achievement, trying to maintain his dignity as a teacher. He instructed Naruto to use the body replacement technique, and with a puff of smoke, Naruto transformed himself into a chair. Iruka nodded in approval and then asked for the transformation technique. Once again, with a puff of smoke, Naruto perfectly transformed into Madara Uchiha, sending shivers through Iruka and the academy students. Naruto couldn't help but chuckle at the sight of their fear. Iruka stuttered as he praised Naruto for his perfect execution of the clone technique. Naruto shook his head and asked if he could use a different type of clone. Iruka hesitated but eventually nodded. Naruto formed the hand signs and quietly muttered the words for the shadow clone technique. In an instant, 10 solid clones of Naruto appeared, arms crossed and wearing smug expressions. Iruka was astonished that an academy student could use a forbidden technique meant for jounin shinobis. He sighed, realizing he needed to discuss this with Hokuto-sama. Afterward, Iruka handed out forehead protectors to those who passed, feeling pleased that most of his students graduated without issues, especially Naruto. It was remarkable for Naruto to use an A-rank jutsu and a B-rank clone technique. Before the students left, Iruka announced their teams. Team 7 would consist of Haruno Sakura, Uchiha Sasuke, and Sai, with Kakashi Hatake as their sensei. Sakura was ecstatic, declaring it was fate for them to be together, while Ino simply grunted in response. Team 8 would include Shino Aburame, Hinata Hyuga, and Kiba Inazuka, with Kurinai Yuhi as their sensei. Team 10 would consist of Choji Akimichi, Shikamaru Nara, and Ino Yamanaka, with Asuma Sarutobi as their sensei. Shikamaru quietly muttered that it was troublesome. Lastly, Team 11, known as Team Gai, would consist of Niji Hyuga, Rock Lee, and Ten-Ten, with Mato Gai as their sensei. Rock Lee celebrated with enthusiasm, exclaiming about youth with burning passion in his eyes. Sakura raised her hand and asked about Naruto, and everyone wondered what would happen to him. Iruka announced that Naruto Otsutsuki would be an elite genin, with Yugao Yuzuki as his sensei. Naruto smirked, pleased to avoid dealing with others. The students nodded at Iruka's words and left to celebrate their graduation. As Naruto followed suit, he thought about meeting Nico-chan again, smiling at the prospect. Naruto and Yugao Yuzuki were in the 44th training ground of Konoha, known as the Forest of Death. This forest was home to many dangerous, gigantic, and poisonous creatures. Yugao, a young woman with straight purple hair that reached her waist, beautiful brown eyes, and red lipstick, wore a standard Umbu uniform consisting of black and gray armor, with a black sword on her back. This was the first official meeting between Naruto and the Umbu member known as Nico. Tasked by the Hokage to learn more about Naruto, Yugao had been hesitant but ultimately agreed. Yugao smiled at Naruto and asked him to share details about himself, including his name, likes, dislikes, hobbies, and dreams for the future. Naruto responded with a light smile and a nod, introducing himself as Naruto Otsutsuki. He mentioned his love for ramen, training, and spending time with Kurama, his inner companion. As he spoke, he paused momentarily, hearing Kurama's voice in his head, which made him blush. This left Yugao confused, noticing Naruto's sudden change in demeanor. After a brief cough, Naruto continued, expressing his dislikes, which included the time it took to cook ramen, arrogant people, and those who harmed others. He shared his hobbies of training with Kurama and his aspiration to become stronger to protect those dear to him. He also mentioned wanting to make his parents, Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki, proud, hinting at another person he chose not to name. Yugao, surprised by Naruto's knowledge of his real parents, felt a pang of regret for not being there for her sensei's son. Despite her reputation as a strong warrior known as the Genjutsu mistress, she found herself on the verge of tears, having secretly protected Naruto from the hostility of villagers during his childhood. She had been devastated when she learned from the Hokage that Naruto had gone missing 7 years ago. Naruto, sensing Yugao's distress, placed a finger to his lips to signal her to be quiet. He moved closer and hugged her, softly expressing his gratitude for her past support. He reassured her that there was no need to apologize, attributing the villagers' treatment of him to their own faults. With a somewhat mischievous chuckle, he thought about the consequences of their actions. Kurama, in his mind, expressed a desire to take action, but Naruto brushed it off. Yugao composed herself and informed Naruto that they would be sparring for the official Genin test. They took their positions on opposite sides of the training ground. Curious about Naruto's weapons, Yugao inquired about the swords he possessed. Naruto explained that they were called Zanpakuto, weapons forged from a person's soul, and boasted that his were among the strongest, named Zangetsu, Ryujin Jaka, and Kyoka Suigetsu. Yugao was intrigued, having never heard of Zanpakuto before. As Naruto prepared for the spar, he heard a voice urging him to use Kyoka Suigetsu, the spirit of the sword, who playfully reminded him not to call her by a certain name. With a laugh, Naruto wielded Kyoka Suigetsu in his right hand, while Yugao unsheathed her tanto, ready to begin. Naruto thought about how he hoped Yugao would be a worthy opponent, stronger than Mizuki, allowing him to enjoy the spar without exerting too much effort. When Yugao made the first move, she charged at him with impressive speed, swinging her tanto. Naruto remained unfazed, sidestepping her attacks effortlessly. Despite Yugao's best efforts, all her strikes were either dodged or parried. Mockingly, Naruto challenged her, questioning if that was all she could do. Unfazed, Yugao created 2 shadow clones and initiated her technique, Dance of the Crescent Moon. The clones attacked from both sides while she aimed for an upward strike. Naruto feigned surprise, allowing the clones to land hits on him. However, Yugao soon realized something was amiss. Naruto was far too intelligent to be caught off guard. With a confident declaration, Naruto activated Kyoka Suigetsu, revealing that the Naruto who had been stabbed was merely an illusion. Yugao was shocked, having never encountered such a powerful genjutsu before. Naruto explained that Kyoka Suigetsu's ability, known as complete hypnosis, allowed him to control all 5 senses of a person, trapping them in an illusion. Yugao struggled to comprehend the reality of such a weapon, realizing its overwhelming power. If Naruto possessed other weapons like this, she wondered just how strong he truly was. With a determined look, Naruto suggested they finish the spar. He had developed a unique sword style under the guidance of Cammy, one that was even stronger than his previous techniques. Excited to test it out, he reminded himself to hold back to avoid harming Yugao. Yugao unleashed her final Genjutsu technique, Hazy Moon Night, swinging her sword in a circular motion that created afterimages. Believing she had created enough distractions, she rushed at Naruto for the decisive strike. However, he blocked her attack with speed that surpassed hers. Jumping back, Naruto prepared to counterattack, stating it was his turn as he sheathed Kyoka Suigetsu. Naruto's eyes briefly transformed into the Rinne Sharingan as he utilized the creation of all things technique to forge a sword reminiscent of Yugao's weapon. With a powerful shout, he unleashed the heavenly transcendent sword style, Dance of the Primordial. The sword radiated a brilliant golden light, and behind Naruto, various primordial gods manifested, exuding an overwhelming aura that could instill fear even in the mightiest dragons and phoenixes. As Naruto prepared to strike at Yugao, he halted just inches from her neck. Despite stopping his attack, the force of his action generated a massive shockwave that ravaged half of the Forest of Death, leaving the land desolate and devoid of life. Yugao, feeling the intensity of the moment, turned pale and fainted. Naruto, realizing he had gone too far, expressed his regret. He carefully carried Yugao to the Namikaze's mansion, allowing her to rest. It had certainly been an eventful day for him. Yugao slowly woke up, finding herself lying on a sofa. Confusion filled her mind as she wondered where she was. The house around her was large and beautiful, but she couldn't shake the feeling of unease. A soft voice broke through her thoughts, informing her that she was in the Namikaze mansion. Turning around, she saw Naruto and tried to piece together her memories. She recalled that she had been dueling with him. Naruto explained that she had fainted after he unleashed a powerful technique, and he had carried her to safety. With a smile, he asked how she was feeling. Yugao expressed her shock at his newfound abilities, curious about where he had learned such a technique and how he had become so impressive. Naruto proudly revealed that the jutsu was his own creation and that it was just a glimpse of his true power. He then suggested they stop talking and drink a special herbal medicine he had prepared for her, which would help her recover. Yugao eyed the green liquid with skepticism, questioning its appearance. Naruto assured her that it was a special Ayurvedic remedy made from rare herbs, designed to heal both her mental and physical trauma. Despite her initial reluctance, he encouraged her to drink it, promising it would also restore her lost chakra. After some hesitation, Yugao drank the medicine and was surprised to find it tasted like sake. She thanked Naruto for caring about her, acknowledging the bitterness of the medicine but appreciating his efforts to make it more palatable. They continued to talk. The day turned to dusk, and Yugao realized it was time for her to leave. She expressed her gratitude to Naruto, who wished her well and promised to see her the next day. Once Yugao left, Naruto's stomach growled, reminding him that he hadn't eaten all day. He decided to head to Ichiraku Ramen for his favorite miso pork ramen. Inside the ramen shop, he placed his usual order. The store owner handed him the steaming bowl and inquired about Yugao's absence, explaining that she had gone to another village for intel on improving ramen. As Naruto enjoyed his meal, he was greeted by Hiruzen and Irika, who had come to the shop after leaving the Hokage office. They complimented Naruto on his recent accomplishments, noting that he had excelled in every challenge and even defeated Yugao. Naruto, feeling confident, remarked that the jutsus he had faced were too easy for him. After finishing his meal, he bid farewell to his friends and prepared to leave. He formed hand signs and activated a jutsu that created a portal connecting the ramen shop to the top of the great stone faces, astonishing everyone present. Hiruzen marveled at the technique, and Naruto explained how it worked, comparing it to folding paper and punching a hole through it. With a wave, Naruto jumped through the portal and landed on the stone faces, gazing up at the starry sky. It had been a long time since he had seen the night sky from this vantage point. Suddenly, a mysterious voice interrupted his thoughts. It was Sasuke Uchiha, who expressed his annoyance at Naruto's presence. Sasuke quickly left, leaving Naruto to ponder the encounter. Despite Sasuke's rudeness, Naruto found himself admiring him, feeling a strange sense of camaraderie. As time passed, Naruto heard music and drumbeats, noticing that the sky was filled with flying lanterns. Excitement bubbled within him as he realized a festival was taking place. Just then, Kurama's voice chimed in, teasing him about forgetting her. Naruto was surprised and asked what she had been doing. Kurama explained that she had been meditating and gathering sage chakra, but Naruto's growling stomach had interrupted her a few times. Kurama reminded Naruto of his promise to take her on a date, causing him to blush as he questioned whether he had truly made such a promise. Kurama confirmed that he had, leaving Naruto to contemplate their next adventure together. Hey, how are you reading my mind? Naruto asked, surprised. Did you forget that I am inside you? I can hear your thoughts loud and clear, Kurama replied. Hey, Kurama, have you ever tasted a candy apple? Naruto asked excitedly. No, I haven't tasted any human foods other than the mochi that a wise old man gave me. How does it taste? Kurama asked, his eyes sparkling with curiosity. Do you want to taste it? Naruto offered with a smile. Can I really? Kurama's cheerful expression brightened. Since I unlocked your seal, I can summon you outside my body, but you have to stay in your human form, or it will cause chaos, Naruto explained. Understood, Kurama replied with a smile. Naruto formed the hand signs and called out, summoning jutsu. A beautiful girl with crimson hair and striking red eyes appeared before him. Naruto's face turned red, and he quickly turned his head away. He thought to himself how cute she was and how he couldn't stop blushing. Kurama noticed and teased him, asking if he was blushing. I don't change colors, Naruto replied, though his face betrayed him, turning pale. Kurama took Naruto's hands and said, This is the greatest day of my life. Indeed, it was the happiest day for Kurama. They walked toward the festival, hand in hand. The festival was filled with lights, shops, and cheerful people. Wow. I never thought it would be this beautiful, Naruto exclaimed, taken aback by the sights. Hurry up, Naruto-kun, Kurama urged playfully. Hold on, wait for me, Naruto called back. Can I really eat anything here? Kurama asked, eyes wide with excitement. Yes, you can eat anything, just don't run. And can we walk together? Naruto requested, his face flushed. Okie dokie, Kurama replied, clinging tightly to Naruto's arm, which made him blush even more. Are you blushing, Naruto-kun? Kurama grinned, noticing his embarrassment. People around them began to stare, whispering about the beautiful girl with Naruto. They expressed their envy and curiosity about their relationship. Don't cling, but can we hold hands? Naruto asked shyly. Suddenly, Kurama tripped and fell. Are you okay, Kurama? Naruto asked, concern evident in his voice. Yes, I'm fine. It just hurts a little, Kurama replied. Don't worry, I will take you anywhere you want, Naruto said as he helped her up. He took Kurama to the candy apple shop he had promised. Wow, delicious. I want more, Kurama exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. You know, you haven't tasted any main dishes yet, which are even tastier than that, Naruto said with a smile. What? Really? Yay! Kurama's excitement grew even more. They visited all the food stalls, and Naruto was glad he had brought enough money. Naruto-kun, a voice called from behind. Oh, the store owner has a stall here too, Naruto said, recognizing him. Come on and have some ramen, the owner invited. Come here, Kurama, I will show you my favorite dish, Naruto said eagerly. Really? Let's go fast. Kurama replied, her enthusiasm palpable. They hurried to the Ichiraku ramen store. Inside, Naruto ordered his usual and asked for 2 bowls. He noticed Hiruzen and his classmate Choji nearby. Are you a daily customer? Naruto asked Hiruzen. Hiruzen, trying to hide a magazine, looked a bit flustered. You know I can see through your clothing, right? Naruto teased. Please don't tell anyone, Hiruzen pleaded. Here is your order, the store owner said, bringing 2 bowls of ramen. Order anything, I will pay for it, Hiruzen offered with a smile. Thank you, Naruto replied gratefully. In the background, Choji watched as Kurama finished 2 bowls of ramen in no time. Hey, how can you defeat me in an eating contest? I will not lose. Aji-san, we are doing a ramen eating contest, and the one who eats the most will receive the Glutton King Queen Award. Start, Choji announced. Time passed, and Kurama kept asking for more. But the shop is empty now, the store owner replied, surprised. This is a record. No one has ever eaten this much 300 bowls. Everyone was astonished. By the way, who is this girl? Hiruzen asked curiously. Naruto sighed. This girl is Kurama? Don't tell me. Hiruzen's eyes widened in realization. Yes, This is the 10-tailed fox Kurama who was inside me, Naruto confirmed. Who will pay the bills? The store owner asked. How much is it? I will pay, Hiruzen replied. 320,000 RYO, including all taxes, the store owner said. What? Hiruzen exclaimed, his face turning pale. Don't worry, I will pay, I have the money, Naruto said with a laugh. Afterward, they went outside, and Naruto asked, Kurama, do you want souvenirs? Yes, thanks for asking, Kurama replied. They entered a souvenir shop, where Kurama bought a 10-tailed stuffed animal. The fireworks could start any moment now, Naruto said. Really? I really want to see the fireworks. Let's go, Kurama said eagerly. They found a good spot to watch the fireworks. Thanks, Naruto-kun. I never thought I would have this much fun, Kurama said, giving him her best smile. Naruto's heart skipped a beat at her beautiful smile. He wished he could see her smile like this forever. Kurama, hearing his thoughts, said, Naruto-kun, I want to say something. Give me your ear for a second. Naruto leaned closer, and in a moment of affection, Kurama expressed her feelings for him. Naruto's face turned even redder, and he fainted from the overwhelming emotion. Looks like I have to carry him home instead, Kurama said to herself as she picked him up and took him back to the mansion. In another dimension, Naruto opened his eyes to find himself in a vast, white void. He looked around, confused and alone. My son, how have you been doing? A voice echoed. Naruto turned around, ready to face whatever awaited him. Naruto stood with tears welling in his eyes, overwhelmed by emotion as he faced Cammy. He had thought Cammy was gone forever. Cammy reassured him, explaining that he was in a different dimension. Setting aside the initial shock, Cammy had a purpose for reaching out to Naruto. He spoke of a path to Naruto's destiny, which left Naruto confused and seeking clarity. Cammy apologized for not revealing more sooner, explaining that he had been waiting for the right moment specifically for Naruto and Kurama to deepen their bond, allowing their hearts and souls to connect. Both Naruto and Kurama felt a rush of warmth at the implication of their growing feelings. Cammy chuckled, expressing his happiness at their evolving relationship. He explained that he wanted to help them develop their feelings for a significant reason, to enable them to perform unison raids, transferring jutsus and chakra between them. Naruto, filled with confidence, declared that he had enough power to change the world. Cammy, however, hinted that there was more to learn in due time. He reiterated that Naruto had taken the first step toward his destiny, but Naruto still struggled to grasp the meaning of the paths Cammy spoke of. Cammy elaborated on the 7 deities represented by different paths, each embodying unique aspects of existence. He explained that a problem had arisen. These deities had fallen from grace and were reincarnated as humans, now burdened by darkness. To become the god of everything, Naruto would need to free them from their curses and obtain their crests. Kurama asked which deity Naruto would pursue first, and Naruto decided on Madara Uchiha. Cammy wished him well before departing, leaving Naruto to awaken in the Namake's mansion, questioning whether it had all been a dream. Kurama confirmed that Cammy had indeed communicated with them, emphasizing the need to defeat the gods and claim their crests. Excited by the prospect of worthy opponents, Naruto grinned as he contemplated their first target. Kurama reminded him that it was his destiny to choose. Naruto resolved to revive Madara first, but Kurama cautioned him about the dangers of fighting near the village. They agreed to move to a safer location, suggesting the Forest of Death, where they would face no interference. Using a technique to reach the forest, Naruto prepared to revive Madara. Kurama urged him to be cautious. Stepping back, Naruto unleashed a powerful jutsu, a combination of reanimation and rebirth techniques. A flash of light enveloped the area, and when the smoke cleared, Madara stood before them, bewildered and confused about his surroundings. Naruto explained that he had revived him and requested the crest of his path. Madara, initially frustrated, reacted with anger. Recognizing the challenge ahead, Naruto steeled himself for a difficult confrontation. Kurama sensed the darkness lingering within Madara, suggesting that purification might be necessary. As Madara assessed Naruto, he noted the immense chakra he possessed, comparing him to an Otsutsuki clan member. Underestimating Naruto would be a mistake. In a sudden move, Madara transformed leaves into shurikens and hurled them at Naruto, who caught them effortlessly. Impressed by Naruto's strength, Madara declared that he could not let him live after accepting the challenge. He formed hand signs and unleashed a torrent of flames toward Naruto. Unfazed, Naruto countered with a blizzard jutsu, freezing the flames and the ground around them. Realizing he had overexerted himself, Naruto checked on Madara, who had managed to evade his attack. Madara, surprised by Naruto's abilities, realized he had been tricked by a shadow clone. Naruto, perched on a tree and grinning, teased Madara before teleporting in front of him and unleashing the flames once more. Madara recognized the jutsu and welcomed the challenge, excitement coursing through him as the battle intensified. After the battle, Naruto carried Yugao to the Namekaze mansion. 3 hours later, Madara sighed as he prepared for battle, declaring it was time to get serious. Madara took out his scythe and fan. He swung his fan, dispersing the flames, and rushed toward Naruto, flash-stepping through the fire. He swung his scythe, only to discover it had struck a clone. Madara realized that Naruto could use jutsu without hand signs, allowing him to react quickly and counterattack effectively. No problem, Madara thought as he reversed time with his Mangekyo Sharingan. Instead of targeting the real Naruto, he focused on the clone and absorbed its chakra. He felt a surge of excitement as he noted the vast amount of chakra the clone possessed, even greater than his own reserves. The golden chakra flames began to form in his hand, and he exclaimed that this battle was becoming even more thrilling than his encounters with Hashirama. Naruto, unfazed, drew his second Zanpakuto, Ryujinjaka, the flame sword. Realizing that regular flames wouldn't affect Madara, he decided to use his Bankai. As he unleashed his power, the sword consumed most of the flames from his attack, but the majestic Destroyer Flames jutsu was still larger than Madara's. Naruto unleashed a storm of black flames toward Madara, who reacted in shock, realizing that Naruto had fused Amaterasu with his attack. In the nick of time, Madara summoned Triple Rashomon, a 50-layer mud wall, and used the Rinnegan's ability, Shinra Tensei. However, the storm was so powerful that it obliterated both the Triple Rashomon and the mud wall. Madara survived only because the maximum shock of the attack was absorbed by the walls, though the heat singed parts of his body. He cursed his near demise, grateful that his back faced the desert. Despite Madara's defenses, the flames scorched everything for 200 miles, turning the sand into glass and creating a road-like structure connecting Konoha to the hidden sand village. Madara acknowledged that he owed his survival to Naruto's chakra and declared it was time to finish the match. Activating Sage Mode, he created 1,000 shadow clones and armored each one with perfect Susan, threatening Naruto with the overwhelming power. Naruto, undeterred, responded by creating 100,000 clones and also armoring them with perfect Susan. Madara noted Naruto's Mangekyo Sharingan, showing no fear. Naruto opened his third eye, transforming his Sharingan into Rinne Sharingan. Madara was taken aback, realizing that Naruto possessed 3 eyes, all Rinne Sharingan. The battlefield erupted into chaos as every clone engaged in an all-out war, shaking the very earth beneath them. They fought fiercely until both sides had exhausted their clones. Now, Naruto smirked, declaring it was time to finish things up. Time to finish things, Naruto declared as he began to set up his finishing move. He focused his chakra, forming a massive sphere of energy known as the planetary Rasengan. The sphere expanded to a radius of 200 meters, with 9 smaller Rasengan orbiting a central one, resembling planets around a sun. Naruto unleashed the Rasengan toward Madara, who observed with concern. He whispered to himself that this jutsu contained an immense and dense amount of chakra. If it had been smaller, he might have been able to absorb it, but this was on an entirely different level. Despite using every jutsu at his disposal, even in Sage Mode, Madara could not stop the attack. Each technique he attempted was drawn into the swirling mass of chakra. Madara, feeling cornered, acknowledged Naruto's skill, saying that he had earned his respect. However, he warned that the war was not over yet. When Naruto inquired about Madara's earlier statement, Madara posed a question about the number of clones he could create with his remaining chakra. Naruto estimated that Madara could make around 10,000 clones while still retaining some chakra. Madara then revealed that he had only used 1,000 clones, having hidden the rest underground to gather sage chakra. He suggested that if he unleashed them all at once, the resulting power would be overwhelming. Naruto insisted that it wouldn't matter, he would ultimately win. Madara released the sage chakra stored in his clones, becoming nearly invincible to physical attacks. He proclaimed that he was no longer just a simple sage but a super sage, as tattoos appeared across his body. Naruto acknowledged the coolness of the title, but the massive Rasengan continued its approach. With a single swing of his fan, Madara dispelled the Rasengan. He threatened Naruto, but Naruto suddenly appeared right in front of him. In a flash, Madara was surrounded by a flock of crows, and Naruto vanished again. Madara realized he was caught in a Genjutsu but believed he could easily break it. He shattered the illusion only to find himself in another one. Confused, he exclaimed about the Tsukuyomi, to which Naruto confirmed that he had layered the Genjutsu one after another. As Madara broke the Tsukuyomi and lunged at Naruto, he felt confident that the battle was over. However, Naruto's body transformed into crows and flew away. Frustrated, Madara cursed Naruto for using another Genjutsu, insisting he could break it. Naruto taunted him, stating that no matter how many times he tried, he wouldn't succeed. Madara attempted to break free but found himself trapped. He questioned whether he was caught in an infinite Tsukuyomi, but Naruto clarified that it was a perfect hypnosis created by his Kyoka Suigetsu, which was different from standard Genjutsu. In the real world, Kurama informed Naruto that Madara was immobilized and that it was time to purify his soul. Naruto summoned the heaven's purification flames, a pure white flame emanating from his hands. He touched Madara, and the flames began their work. Using Kodoamatsukami, Naruto transformed Madara's nature into that of a caring person, though some darkness remained, which the flames purified. Once the process was complete, Naruto undid the perfect hypnosis, allowing Madara's sealed memories to return. With the use of purification flames, Madara's memories returned. He began to explain his past to Naruto. He revealed that he was once known as Surya, the god of the sun. Although he had been a bit prideful, he cared deeply for humanity, blessing them with his soothing rays. However, one day, Satan, the king of hell, challenged him to a duel to determine who was stronger. Madara had been confident he would not lose, but Satan proved to be formidable. He tainted Madara's soul with darkness and ultimately defeated him. As a result, Madara fell from grace and was reborn as a human named Madara Uchiha, forgetting his past and succumbing to evil. He expressed gratitude to Naruto for purifying his soul and restoring his memories. In return, he offered Naruto the crest of his path and his glorious power, Sunshine, although he stated he would not use it due to his pride. Naruto accepted the crest but declined the power, stating that he had strength beyond his needs. Madara respected Naruto's decision but suggested that if Naruto did not want the power, he should find a pupil to train and transfer his abilities. Naruto mentioned that he would need allies in the future, as Cammy had advised, and also desired a partner for dueling. Madara was curious about who would be worthy of being his pupil. Naruto had someone in mind. Meanwhile, someone was watching from a distance, captivated by the battle's magnitude. It was none other than Uchiha Sasuke. Naruto had noticed Sasuke's presence but chose to ignore it, wanting Sasuke to witness the entire confrontation. Feeling exhausted, Naruto remarked that he was running low on chakra. Madara, unsure of where to go, expressed his concern about having no place to return to. Naruto suggested he return to the divine realm from which he came, but Madara revealed that it was no longer his home, as it had been destroyed by Satan. Naruto then offered to let Madara accompany him, but first, he needed to prove his worth. Madara inquired about what Naruto wanted him to do. With a mischievous grin, Naruto requested that Madara demonstrate his transformation jutsu. After some initial embarrassment, Madara complied and transformed into a beautiful girl. Naruto, taken aback, was momentarily speechless but eventually gave a thumbs up, indicating that Madara had passed the test. They decided to head toward the village to discuss Madara's situation further. Elsewhere in the Naruto world, a figure sat on the edge of a cliff, humming a tune. The mysterious voice revealed that they had been hearing Kyoka's voice and were on their way to find her. In Satan's castle, a mysterious man observed that the darkness within Madara had been erased, indicating that he had been defeated. However, the man remained unfazed, confident in having more pawns at his disposal. Back in Konoha, in the Hokage's office, Hiruzen was engrossed in his daily reading when a portal opened, allowing Naruto and Madara to enter. Hiruzen noticed their presence and was surprised to see Naruto with a beautiful girl, unaware that she was Madara Uchiha. Naruto struggled to contain his laughter at Hiruzen's misunderstanding, thinking about how the Hokage would react if he knew the truth. He decided to reveal Madara's true form, and when he did, Hiruzen instinctively jumped back, drawing a kunai upon seeing Madara. Hiruzen was astonished to see Madara, whom he believed had perished long ago. Madara greeted Hiruzen with a nostalgic smile, recalling fond memories of their past. Hiruzen demanded an explanation, warning Madara of the consequences if he did not comply. Naruto intervened, urging Hiruzen to stop. He reassured the Hokage that Madara was no longer evil and had changed. Hiruzen was skeptical, recalling Madara's dark past, but Naruto explained everything: how Cammy had contacted him, the gods and their paths, and why he needed to revive Madara. He emphasized that Madara harbored no hatred toward Konoha or the shinobi world. Hiruzen needed time to process the information, feeling a mix of calm and confusion. Naruto requested that Madara be allowed to stay in Konoha, but they debated where he would reside. Hiruzen suggested Naruto's mansion, which annoyed Naruto, who felt it was unfair to place that responsibility on him. As their discussion continued, Madara felt like an outsider in their argument. Eventually, they reached a decision that Madara would stay with Naruto. Naruto promised to return for further discussions after arranging accommodations for Madara. He opened a portal connecting the Hokage's office to his mansion, instructing the ANBU to forget everything they had witnessed and heard. Hiruzen reassured them that he had detected no malice or hostile intentions from Madara, thus easing the tension in the room. Today's day was the worst day of Hiruzen's life. It felt like one misfortune after another. First, he slipped on a banana peel, and then he faced his wife's reprimand for stumbling out of the Hokage office during work. He covered his eyes with his hand, overwhelmed by the day's events. Outside the Namikaze mansion, Madara noticed something unusual. He pointed it out to Naruto, who confirmed that he had seen 12 figures hiding nearby. Curious, Madara asked where they were, to which Naruto replied that they were at his mansion and suggested they go inside. Once inside, Madara was impressed by the mansion's grandeur. He smiled as he took in his surroundings. Naruto informed him that there were 777 rooms to choose from, each stocked with everything from sake to candy. He invited Madara to join him for dinner in the dining area. Madara expressed his gratitude, still amazed that this was the same Naruto who had once been his enemy. He wondered what had happened to the cold demeanor that had defined him before. Naruto playfully suggested that if Madara wanted to revert to his old self, he could certainly do that. They continued to chat for a while, but then Madara's serious nature resurfaced. He declared that he couldn't just sit idly by, his pride wouldn't allow it. Naruto reminded him that he had previously suggested finding a pupil and proposed that Madara become a teacher at the Shinobi Academy. He offered to speak to the elder about it and suggested a permanent transformation jutsu that would be undetectable. Madara agreed to see the jutsu in action. Naruto called out the name of the technique, and with a burst of energy, he transformed Madara into a strikingly handsome figure. In a moment of surprise, Naruto inadvertently uttered the name Indra. Madara, intrigued by the name, decided that from that point on, he would be known as Indra instead of Madara. Naruto assured him that this transformation would keep his true identity hidden. He then mentioned that he was off to speak with the elder about Madara's new role. As he prepared to leave, Naruto felt a strange familiarity with the name Indra and the face he had just created. Realizing he needed to move quickly, he decided it was time to head to the Hokage office. With a swift movement, Naruto used a technique to reach his destination. In the Hokage office, Naruto spoke softly, expressing his desire for a certain arrangement. Hiruzen, with his fingers crossed, acknowledged Naruto's request. Naruto wanted a specific individual to be appointed as a teacher at the Shinobi Academy. Hiruzen hesitated, concerned about the potential risks, even if the person in question was not evil. Naruto, with his earnest eyes, reassured Hiruzen that he would take full responsibility for the decision. Unable to resist Naruto's charm, Hiruzen finally agreed, promising to keep the information confidential. With that, Naruto hurried to the mansion to share the good news with Madara. The next day began with Naruto waking up to a delightful aroma that made his stomach growl. He realized it was only 6 a.m., giving him plenty of time before the academy started at 7 a.m. Meanwhile, Madara also awoke to the enticing scent. As Naruto made his way to the kitchen, he wondered who was cooking. Kurama greeted him with a smile, pleased to see him. Awake. Confused, Naruto asked why Kurama was outside his body. Kurama explained that he had grown bored while Naruto slept and decided to cook, noting that eating ramen all the time wasn't healthy. Curious about the meal, Naruto asked what Kurama had prepared. Kurama revealed he was making hamburgers, believing Naruto would enjoy them. Naruto was surprised, recalling that just days ago, Kurama knew little about human food aside from mochi. Kurama explained that after their encounter with Cammy, he had gained knowledge about cooking. Naruto nodded, still processing this new information. Madara entered the kitchen, asking if there was anything left for him. Kurama, surprised, questioned how Madara knew him since they hadn't met before. Madara, with a serious tone, replied that his eyes could see everything. Kurama assured Madara that he had made enough for him too, urging both him and Naruto to wait in the dining room. Kurama served breakfast, encouraging them to eat while it was warm. Madara complimented Kurama, joking that he would make a great wife someday, which caused both Kurama and Naruto to blush. Realizing it was time to head to the academy, Naruto urged Madara to hurry so they wouldn't be late on their first day. At the academy, Irika announced that a new teacher would be joining them, welcoming Mr. Indra, who was Madara. He would teach about elemental jutsus and genjutsu. The students, especially the girls, were captivated by Madara's handsome appearance as he introduced himself. After a time skip, the bell rang, and Naruto had promised to meet Madara on the academy's roof. When Naruto arrived, he asked Madara how his day had been. Madara shared that he had seen great potential in everyone, particularly in Sasuke Uchiha. Naruto suggested making Sasuke his pupil. Madara expressed uncertainty about whether Sasuke would accept his request. Just then, a familiar voice interrupted, and they turned to see Sasuke approaching. He acknowledged Madara's identity and expressed his admiration for Madara's battle with Naruto, asking to become his pupil. Madara, impressed, agreed but proposed a match to test Sasuke's abilities. Sasuke accepted, throwing a kunai and rushing at Madara, who effortlessly dodged the attack. As Sasuke attempted a kick, Madara caught his leg, showcasing his skill. Sasuke then formed the hand sign for the Great Fireball Jutsu, prompting Madara to jump back. Sasuke activated his Sharingan, exuding an aura that captivated Naruto. Madara decided that this was enough for the day, recognizing Sasuke as the perfect student he had been searching for. He officially welcomed Sasuke as his pupil, confirming Naruto's instincts about him. Chapter End. Previously, now you are officially my pupil. Presently, Madara crossed his arms and asked why Sasuke was the only Uchiha in the academy and where the others were. Sasuke remained silent. Naruto scratched his head and apologized for not mentioning that Sasuke was the last Uchiha representing the clan. Madara inquired about what had happened to the others, and Naruto began to respond, but Sasuke interrupted him. Sasuke revealed that the Uchiha clan had been exterminated by one of their own, his brother, Uchiha Itachi. He recounted the tragic moment when his parents were killed right before his eyes. Madara expressed his shock and asked about Sasuke's brother. Sasuke explained that Itachi was still missing and that there were rumors he had joined an evil organization. Madara empathized, sharing that he had also witnessed his brother's death. He then asked Sasuke how he managed to avoid falling into darkness and becoming an Avenger, suggesting that he would have sought revenge if he were in Sasuke's position. Sasuke acknowledged that revenge had initially consumed him, but everything changed because of one person. He recounted how, upon arriving at the academy, the Hokage provided him with many opportunities since he was the last Uchiha. He excelled in his classes and was eventually summoned to the Hokage's office, where he was offered a scholarship for his living expenses, clothing, and studies. However, the Hokage had to leave unexpectedly, and while waiting, Sasuke's mind was filled with thoughts of vengeance. He searched for information about his brother but found nothing until he discovered a locked drawer. Inside, he found a file about Kakashi Hatake, a jonin who had once helped him when he was homeless. The document revealed that Kakashi had lost his entire clan in the Great Ninja War, including his father, teacher, friend, and even his lover. This realization struck Sasuke deeply, and he decided then that he would not become an avenger. Madara acknowledged Sasuke's choice, noting that while he had chosen the right path, there was still some bitterness within him. He then turned to Naruto, who was lying on the ground, snoring. Sasuke announced he was going home and began to walk toward the edge of the roof. Madara instructed him to meet at 5 p.m. near the Forest of Death the following day, to which Sasuke agreed. Meanwhile, Hinata was secretly watching Naruto, thinking about how cute he looked even while sleeping. Madara picked up Naruto and carried him back to the mansion. That night, Naruto had a nightmare where he found himself in a shadowy land filled with humanoid creatures. He was sitting on the ground, cradling Kurama's cold, lifeless body and crying. Looking up, he saw Sasuke fighting a figure in the sky who had killed Kurama. The only word that came to Naruto's mind to describe that place was hell. He awoke in tears, searching for Kurama and finding him in the kitchen, cooking breakfast. Kurama greeted him, but Naruto rushed over and hugged him tightly, crying. He pleaded with Kurama not to ever leave him. Kurama comforted him, reassuring him that he would never leave his side, even in death. As they shared breakfast, Madara asked for more miso soup. Naruto and Kurama exchanged glances, both blushing. Kurama poured the soup into Madara's bowl, and as Naruto tried to speak, Madara interrupted him, assuring him that he hadn't seen anything. After finishing his meal, Madara vanished, prompting Naruto to chase after him. Madara instructed him to meet at 5 p.m. near the Forest of Death, hurrying toward the academy. Kurama, worried, noted that it was happening as predicted. After receiving Madara's crest, Naruto had activated Future Sight, indicating that he would meet Madara in a week. Chapter End. Previously, Madara instructed Naruto to meet him at the Forest of Death at 5 p.m. Now, it was an ordinary day for Naruto. At the academy, as usual, Hinata was following him quietly. Noticing her presence, Naruto quickened his pace, and Hinata kept up with him. When he turned a corner, Hinata found herself looking around, confused, as Naruto had vanished. Suddenly, he appeared behind her, leaning in close and locking eyes with her. Hinata's face flushed a deep red. Naruto casually asked if she was okay, noticing her reddened cheeks and checking her forehead for a fever. Hinata felt overwhelmed by his closeness and fainted. Alarmed, Naruto called out to her as he caught her. He carried Hinata to the nurse's office and waited for her to wake up. When she finally opened her eyes and saw him, she fainted again. Naruto scratched his head in confusion, muttering to himself about how difficult it was to understand girls. He decided it was best to leave before she regained consciousness again, reflecting on how at ease he felt when he was with her. Naruto made his way to class. Time skip no jutsu. At 5 p.m., Naruto arrived at the Forest of Death and found Sasuke waiting there. Sasuke, looking annoyed, asked why Naruto was there. Naruto explained that Madara had called him. Sasuke wondered what Madara was thinking, and just then, Madara appeared. Madara told the boys not to argue, as he had summoned them for a specific reason. Sasuke inquired about that reason, and Madara revealed he wanted to see them battle, point out their mistakes, and offer suggestions. He moved to a safe location and instructed them to take their positions. Knowing Naruto's immense power, Sasuke activated his Sharingan right away. He formed the hand signs for the Fireball Jutsu and launched a ball of fire at Naruto. Naruto countered with Shinra Tensei, repelling the flames. When he looked ahead, he noticed Sasuke had vanished. Sasuke was preparing to attack from behind, attempting to kick Naruto, but Naruto used Shunshin to evade and summoned 1,000 shurikens, sending them flying towards Sasuke. Sasuke, using his Sharingan, dodged every single one. Madara complimented Sasuke's reflexes with a slight smile. Naruto, aware of Sasuke's chakra, realized that after using the fireball jutsu, Sasuke had created a shadow clone that was hiding underground, preparing to strike. The clone charged at Naruto, leaping into the air and throwing kunai. Naruto drew his flame Zanpakuto and used the Rinnegan's power to pull Sasuke's clone toward him, swinging the sword and unleashing intense flames that melted the kunai and consumed the clone. Anticipating Sasuke's next move from underground, Naruto smirked, excited for the challenge. In a split second, he used a Menotajikra to switch places with a nearby boulder. Sasuke, frustrated, exclaimed about the switch. As Sasuke charged at Naruto, they both punched each other simultaneously, causing them to fall to the ground. Naruto calculated the possibilities of the battle and, understanding the importance of preserving Sasuke's pride, allowed himself to be hit without raising any suspicion. Madara intervened, declaring the match over. Naruto laughed heartily, and Sasuke couldn't help but smile a little. Through their exchanges, they learned much about each other, recognizing their similarities and differences. Madara advised Sasuke to refine his reflexes and always have a backup plan. Sasuke thanked him, bowing respectfully. Madara instructed them to return the next day at the same time. As darkness fell, Sasuke, Naruto, and Madara headed home. Days passed, and they continued to battle each other. Over the course of 6 days, Sasuke gained a precious gift that no one could teach him: the art of smiling and laughing, which he had lost long ago, along with a good friend and rival. Chapter End. The 7th day. In the academy. During break, Naruto sat on the roof of the academy with Sasuke. Naruto informed Sasuke that they couldn't battle today because the Hokage had assigned him a mission that would take a day to complete. He gazed up at the sky as he spoke. Curious, Sasuke asked where the mission would take him. Naruto replied that he was headed to Kirigakure, the hidden village of the Land of Water. Sasuke, feeling a bit embarrassed, reminded Naruto to bring back some cinnamon sweets from the village. Naruto promised he would. Time skip no jutsu. In the Hokage's office, Hiruzen assigned Naruto the mission of delivering documents to the hidden village of the Land of Water. After receiving the order form, Naruto acknowledged the task and set off. Since he had never been to the water village before, he couldn't use the gate no jutsu, and instead relied on Shunshin to cover the distance quickly. After half a day, the Mizukage allowed him to rest until morning. The next day, after receiving the documents, Naruto remembered Sasuke's request for sweets. However, he had traveled far from the hidden village, so he searched around and found a shop. Inside, he encountered an elderly woman and asked her about the cinnamon sweets. She informed him that he had arrived too late to get them. Disappointed, Naruto felt a little down. The woman, noticing his sadness, offered him some leftover dango with a gentle smile. Gratefully, Naruto accepted the dango. As he sat on a bench enjoying the dumplings, he noticed a tall man sitting next to him. The man had onyx eyes, long black hair tied back in a low ponytail, and wore a black outfit adorned with red clouds. Naruto, unaware of the man's affiliation with the Akatsuki, continued to enjoy his snack. These dumplings are really tasty, Naruto thought, wishing he could take some to Sasuke. He felt a wave of frustration as he wondered what he would say to Sasuke now. A man nearby noticed Naruto's expression and asked if he was a friend of Sasuke. Naruto hesitated, dodging the question, and the man pressed for more information about his relationship with Sasuke. Naruto replied that Sasuke was like a brother to him, showing his admiration for him. The man responded with a friendly tone, expressing his gladness to hear that. Suddenly, a man with a distinctive shark-like appearance, pale green skin, and a large sword wrapped in bandages stood outside the shop and shouted for Itachi to leave. Naruto's senses heightened at the mention of Itachi, realizing he was the brother Sasuke had spoken of, the one who had destroyed the Uchiha clan. He instinctively drew his Zanpakuto. Itachi, however, suggested they use words instead of violence, showing no desire for conflict. Kisame, the shark-like man, asked if Itachi knew Naruto and expressed his eagerness to confront him. Itachi intervened, telling Kisame to give them some time alone. Kisame reluctantly agreed but reminded Itachi to finish quickly, as they had new orders. Not sensing any hostility from Itachi, Naruto decided to engage in conversation rather than fight. Itachi asked why Naruto felt so compelled toward his brother. Naruto reflected, saying he believed it was because they shared similar pasts, pain, and loss. Itachi then inquired about Naruto's future aspirations. With determination, Naruto declared he would become Hokage. Itachi challenged him to explain what being Hokage meant to him and why he desired that title. Naruto shared that he had always been treated like a monster and wanted others to recognize him for who he truly was. Itachi countered, stating that simply becoming Hokage wouldn't guarantee acknowledgement. It was those who were already recognized who could achieve that status. Naruto struggled to respond, feeling the weight of Itachi's words. Itachi continued, reminding Naruto not to forget his friends and those close to him, as they were the reason he was where he was today. His words left a profound impact on Naruto, making him reflect deeply on his journey. Previously, Itachi had bested Naruto in a battle of words. Naruto and Itachi continued their conversation for a while. Naruto felt reassured and a connection to Itachi. He was curious about Itachi's nature and asked why he was a pacifist. Wasn't he supposed to be evil, with a soul tainted in darkness and under the control of sinister forces? Why was he not as evil as described? Itachi took a sip of his tea and explained that his darkness did not affect him. He was a god of the outer path, while only the gods of the inner paths were influenced by such darkness. Naruto approached Itachi, asking why he had chosen to be reborn as a human. Itachi admitted that he had grown bored living alone, so he used his power of rebirth to become human, though some of his memories were lost in the process. Naruto's curiosity turned to anger as he questioned Itachi about the fate of the Uchiha clan. Itachi, placing his teacup on the table, apologized and said he could not reveal that information. Frustrated, Naruto prepared to use his jutsu, but Itachi warned him not to proceed, stating he would regret it. Naruto activated his memory search technique and delved into Itachi's memories as a human. What he uncovered brought tears to his eyes, and he asked why Itachi was carrying such a heavy burden. Itachi reminded him that he had been warned not to look into his memories. Suddenly, Kisame called out to Itachi, announcing that new orders had arrived. Itachi realized he needed to leave and instructed Naruto to take care of Sasuke, urging him not to mention their meeting. He handed Naruto a box of cinnamon sweets. Itachi then remembered something and gave Naruto his emblem, the Ouroboros crest, which represented the cycle of rebirth and immortality. Grateful, Naruto expressed his confidence in handling the situation and thanked Itachi for his trust. Itachi smiled in response. Naruto vanished, leaving Itachi to gaze at the sky, contemplating their future meeting. Kisung, impatient, asked how long Itachi would keep him waiting, to which Itachi replied that it was time to go. Unbeknownst to them, someone had been watching. This figure had a youthful yet melancholic appearance, with wild hair, pale skin, and green eyes with slit pupils. The remnants of a hollow mask adorned one side of his head, resembling a broken helmet with horns. He wore a white hakama and a black sash, with a long-sleeved coat that reached his knees. A tattoo of the number 4 marked the left side of his chest. Returning to his hideout, he joined 9 others like him, with their leaders seated on a throne-like structure, dressed in Arrancar-style clothing over his shihakusho. The leader, Aizen, inquired about the news Ulquiorra had brought. Ulquiorra reported that Aizen was correct about his Kyoka Suigetsu being used by someone. A boy had been seen carrying Aizen's Zanpakuto and conversing with a man in Akatsuki attire. The boy's chakra resembled that of an Uchiha, and he had a friend from the Fishman clan. Aizen was intrigued by this revelation, particularly the mention of Itachi. He had been searching for him for years. Ulquiorra then offered a memory playback, allowing everyone to witness what he had seen. Aizen commanded Ulquiorra and Grimmjow to keep tabs on the boy while instructing the others to capture Itachi, emphasizing that they should not destroy his eyes. Aizen's ambition was clear. He desired Itachi's Sharingan and all of his powers. With a smirk and a sinister laugh, he dismissed them. Meanwhile, Itachi sneezed unexpectedly. Kisame, laughing, asked if he had caught a cold. Itachi replied that he might have, or perhaps someone was talking about him as he walked and gazed at the sky. In Konoha, at the Hokage's office, Hiruzen informed Naruto that he had successfully completed his mission and could now go and rest. Naruto rushed out, eager to find Sasuke, who was preparing to leave with a packed bag. Curious, Naruto approached Sasuke and asked why he was carrying a bag. Sasuke explained that Madara had instructed him to pack anything important. Just then, Madara appeared behind them, ready to leave as well. Naruto, intrigued, inquired about their destination. Madara revealed they were going to Zion, a divine realm. Surprised, Naruto questioned Madara about Zion, recalling that he had previously said the divine realm had been destroyed. Madara admitted he had changed his mind and that his earlier statement was partially a lie. He explained that there were 3 divine realms and 4 lower realms, but only 2 divine realms remained, Zion and the Deva realm, while the Ashura realm was no more. Naruto, concerned, asked what had happened to the Ashura realm. Madara explained that it belonged to the Ashuras, divine beings second only to gods, and it had been destroyed. When both Naruto and Sasuke asked if the Ashuras were alive, Madara hesitated before confirming they were, but there was a looming threat. Naruto expressed his frustration, understanding the implications. Madara shared his concern that the Ashuras would come after him and Sasuke, and he feared he wouldn't be able to protect Sasuke. Naruto reassured him, but Madara remained skeptical, warning that while Naruto could handle lesser foes, the true warriors would be a different challenge. Naruto's confidence wavered as he absorbed Madara's words. Madara continued, explaining that only 2 divine realms remained, Zion, the highest, and the Deva realm, associated with Kaguya, the strongest god of her time. Naruto acknowledged Kaguya's strength, but Madara emphasized that even she recognized Shiva as the strongest among the gods. Curious about Shiva, Naruto showed Madara the Ouroboros crest, prompting a shocked reaction from Madara, who was confused about how Naruto had defeated him. Naruto simply stated they had a conversation, leaving Madara intrigued. Madara sighed in relief that a fight hadn't broken out, explaining that if it had, the realm would have been torn apart. Naruto, astonished, asked if Shiva was truly that powerful. Madara confirmed, admitting he felt fear at the mere mention of his name. Naruto laughed, unable to believe that Madara could be scared of anyone. Madara warned him that he would understand fear if he ever witnessed Shiva's true power, sweat beading on his forehead as he recounted tales of Itachi. Madara called Sasuke and Naruto to gather around him. Sasuke approached and sat beside Madara, while Naruto leaned in, eager to hear the unfolding story. Long ago, there were 7 supreme gods who served the god of everything, known as Cammy. Their power was unmatched, prompting Cammy to seal some of their abilities to maintain balance in the Omniverse. At that time, the Ashura realm existed. One day, the 6th path holder, Lucifer, driven by immense pride, sought to overthrow Cammy and claim the throne as the new god of everything. Despite the flaws in his plan, Lucifer was blinded by his arrogance. Shiva, the holder of the 7th path of life and death, sensed Lucifer's betrayal and attempted to intervene. However, Lucifer refused to back down and instead initiated a battle to eliminate Shiva. Their conflict began in the Deva realm, but Kaguya, witnessing the destruction, expelled them into the Ashura realm. This realm, the largest of all, was created by Cammy and seemed infinite. What started as a casual skirmish escalated into an intense and fierce battle that shook the very foundations of the Ashura realm. In response to the chaos, Cammy appointed Kaguya as the leader of the gods beneath him, but even she could not quell their fight. Instead, she transported the Ashuras to another realm to minimize the damage. The battle raged on for 7 days. Eventually, Shiva, unable to contain his fury, opened his 3rd eye, the Eye of Annihilation, and erased the entire Ashura realm from existence. This act of devastation was unprecedented, even for gods, as erasing a realm was thought impossible. The sight of this event shook their very souls, leaving even Cammy visibly shaken. Upon returning, all the Pathholder gods, including Kaguya, referred to Shiva as the god of destruction. He was the first being Madara ever bowed to, aside from Cammy. However, instead of receiving glory, Cammy punished Shiva by sealing his Eye of Annihilation, restricting his maximum power, banishing him from the divine realm, and declaring him an outer path. Despite this, Shiva accepted Cammy's decision. Cammy revealed that Lucifer was still alive, sealed in purgatory, or the Narca realm, for eternity. The revelation left them in disbelief, and they could see the sadness etched on Cammy's face. After that day, Cammy vanished, and Madara searched for him, eventually finding him in a void, shedding tears. Initially confused, Madara later understood that Shiva was Cammy's own son, his flesh and blood. The tears Cammy shed created a new realm, and Shiva became a human, named Itachi. Afterward, Cammy returned to rule for billions of years. One day, Aizen suggested they split up and govern their own realms. Bored, Cammy agreed and assigned each god their own realm, with Madara receiving the human realm. This decision turned out to be one of Cammy's greatest mistakes, as it allowed Lucifer, now known as Satan, to exploit the situation. Unbeknownst to them, Aizen had already gained control over Satan. He eliminated Kaguya and then the others, one by one, absorbing their powers. When Cammy sealed the divine realms from darkness, their souls could no longer return, leading them to fall from grace and be reborn as mere humans. For a long time, Cammy searched for a successor with chakra similar to Shiva's, but it was a daunting task. Eventually, he sent agents, one of whom was Kurama. One day, Kurama found Naruto, the Jinchuriki of the Jubi, and decided to make him his son. Now, Satan was intent on killing Naruto and absorbing his power to become the god of everything. Madara's concern was evident, and Naruto, stunned, felt sweat trickling down his forehead. The weight of the revelation struck him. A single misstep could lead to the destruction of their realm. Previously, Naruto felt a sense of unease as he listened to Madara recount his story about Itachi. Now, Madara suggested they should leave and asked if Naruto could open a gate to Zion. Naruto expressed his confusion, stating he had never been to Zion. Madara clarified that it was the place where Cammy had trained Naruto. Realization dawned on Naruto as he learned that the dimension was custom-built by Cammy and served as his home. Naruto then handed Sasuke a small opaque bag, explaining that it contained crystals infused with high-density sage chakra. These crystals would allow Sasuke to enter sage mode instantly. Taking one would bring him to normal sage mode, while taking a second within 15 minutes would elevate him to super sage mode. However, Naruto cautioned that taking more than two would strain his body and mentioned that he had made them multi-flavored. Sasuke initially refused the bag, but Naruto insisted that his instincts told him Sasuke would need it. After some hesitation, Sasuke accepted the bag. Naruto then remembered to give Sasuke the pack of cinnamon sweets he had ordered, and Sasuke smiled in gratitude. Naruto opened the gate to Zion, and both Madara and Sasuke stepped through, promising to meet again soon. Several days passed since Sasuke's departure. Naruto, feeling bored, sat on a tree branch in Konoha, lost in thought about Sasuke when an Umbu suddenly appeared before him, informing him that the Hokage was summoning him. Naruto hurried to the Hokage's office. Inside the Hokage's office, Hiruzen greeted Naruto and explained that he had a mission for him. The Kage Summit was scheduled to take place in 3 days, and Hiruzen wanted Naruto to visit the Sand Village as an envoy. He warned Naruto not to take the route near the Forest of Death, as someone had turned the sand into glass, creating a road to the Sand Village using Amaterasu. Naruto, feeling frustrated, muttered that he didn't know anything about it. Hiruzen handed him a scroll to deliver to the Kazekage. Naruto sighed, expressing his annoyance at being disturbed so soon after his last mission, wishing he could be a stone in his next life. Suddenly, an Umbu appeared behind Naruto, threatening him with a kunai for disrespecting the Hokage. Hiruzen attempted to intervene, but Naruto interrupted with a laugh, joking about the situation. Using his Rinnegan, Naruto cleverly switched the kunai with a banana, surprising the Umbu. In a swift motion, Naruto appeared behind the Umbu and used a jutsu to paralyze him, causing the Umbu to fall. Hiruzen yelled for Naruto to stop, but at that moment, 7 other Umbu emerged, surrounding Naruto with their kunai drawn. One of the Umbu demanded that Naruto return the paralyzed Umbu to normal. In response, Naruto playfully transformed the kunai into fruits and, with a grin, used his jutsu to fill the room with a white mist. When the mist cleared, the Umbu and Hiruzen found themselves overwhelmed, their faces flushed and blood rushing from their noses as they collapsed. Hiruzen struggled to regain his composure, trying to decide whether to let Naruto return to normal. Just then, someone shouted from behind Hiruzen, catching Naruto's attention. Hiruzen introduced the newcomer, but the man interrupted, introducing himself as Jiraiya, a toad sage. Jiraiya explained his background, and Hiruzen mentioned that he was one of the legendary Sannin. Jiraiya expressed his desire for Naruto to become his pupil, to which Naruto confidently agreed, challenging Jiraiya to a battle first. Jiraiya accepted but requested to see Naruto's jutsu again. The Umbu and Hiruzen shouted in protest, urging Naruto to stop. Undeterred, Naruto used his jutsu again, this time with shadow clones, causing chaos as everyone fainted except for Jiraiya. Afterward, they headed toward the forest for their match. Meanwhile, Biwako entered the Hokage's office, holding important documents. She was taken aback by the sight of the room in disarray, with the Umbu lying on the ground. Rushing to Hiruzen's side, she found him unconscious and woke him up, questioning what had happened. Hiruzen groggily explained the situation, his face flushed with embarrassment. As an Ika Ika Paradise magazine fell from Hiruzen's robe, Biwako scolded him for his behavior, shaking him awake again. Hiruzen fainted once more, leaving Biwako exasperated. Chapter End. Near the forest, Naruto contemplated the situation, realizing that even a fraction of his power could overwhelm his opponent. He decided to give Jiraiya a chance, announcing that he would provide a handicap. Jiraiya, confident in his abilities, encouraged Naruto to use his full power, stating he would only rely on Taijutsu. Naruto smirked, teasing that if Jiraiya managed to land a hit, he would win. Jiraiya felt slightly underestimated but accepted the challenge. As the match began, Naruto unleashed a powerful sonic fist, creating a wave of air pressure that sent Jiraiya flying back. Jiraiya managed to evade serious injury but was caught off guard by a trap Naruto had set earlier, where a barrage of kunai rained down on him. In a split second, Jiraiya used his hair to form a shield, but one kunai grazed his thigh. Jiraiya acknowledged Naruto's clever tactics, admitting he nearly faced defeat. Naruto, now more determined, opened his first gate and teleported near Jiraiya, who was filled with nostalgia at the sight of Naruto's flying Raijin technique. However, when Naruto struck, it turned out to be a substitution jutsu. Jiraiya had hidden underground, but Naruto quickly followed up with a punch that caused the ground to tremble. Searching for Jiraiya, Naruto sensed a presence behind him, only to discover it was another shadow clone. Jiraiya, realizing he had been outsmarted, was impressed by Naruto's strategy. They decided to relocate to a more suitable battleground in the desert, miles away from the village. As they prepared for their next encounter, Naruto opened multiple gates, unleashing a surge of energy that enveloped him in red fumes. Jiraiya warned him to be cautious, but Naruto, undeterred, delivered a powerful kick that shattered the ground, only to find it was yet another shadow clone. Naruto, using his sensory skills, scanned the area for Jiraiya but found nothing. Suddenly, Jiraiya emerged from behind, catching Naruto off guard with a swift kick that left him breathless. Jiraiya then unleashed a massive Rasengan, but Naruto quickly recovered, thanks to the gates he had opened. Jiraiya summoned the Toad Chief, Gamakichi, and together they prepared for a fierce attack. Naruto, unfazed, summoned a majestic phoenix named Eternus, who was adorned with white flames and striking crimson eyes. Jiraiya was taken aback by the sight, realizing the intensity of the battle was escalating. As the two combatants exchanged powerful techniques, Naruto demonstrated his mastery of the Forbidden Wood Release Jutsu, transforming the desert landscape into a lush forest. Jiraiya was astonished and realized he had underestimated Naruto's capabilities. While Jiraiya distracted Naruto, the real Jiraiya prepared to strike with a Rasengan. However, Naruto instinctively unleashed a powerful force that sent Jiraiya crashing into a tree, leaving him injured. Jiraiya conceded defeat, acknowledging Naruto's victory. Naruto insisted that Jiraiya had fought valiantly and requested to be accepted as his pupil. Jiraiya, despite his injuries, explained that he could no longer teach due to his condition. Undeterred, Naruto used a healing technique to restore Jiraiya's health, leaving him astonished. Jiraiya, realizing the implications of Naruto's abilities, acknowledged that he had been defeated. Naruto playfully urged Jiraiya to show him his version of the Senjutsu, leading to a humorous exchange where Jiraiya transformed into a charming nurse, much to Naruto's delight. The playful banter continued as Jiraiya showcased different transformations, and Naruto proudly declared that his own Senjutsu was his creation. The atmosphere lightened, and the bond between the two grew stronger as they shared laughter and camaraderie amidst their fierce rivalry. Jiraiya exclaimed with enthusiasm that he was indeed a pro, but he believed his performance was superior. Naruto, noticing the audience watching from a distance, encouraged them to comment on who was better. Jiraiya, confused, asked who Naruto was even talking to. Naruto then realized he had broken the fourth wall and apologized, mentioning that he had been advised against it. Jiraiya urged Naruto to stop with the nonsense and promised to show more of his transformations. They engaged in a contest of impressive techniques, but in the end, they could not reach a conclusion. Meanwhile, Hinata observed the spectacle, feeling a mix of embarrassment and respect for Naruto's unique interests. She thought to herself that everyone has their own preferences, and she admired Naruto-kun for being true to himself. Naruto and Jiraiya made their way to the market after their challenging battle involving the Senjutsu. Although they hadn't reached a conclusion, they decided to treat each other. Naruto mentioned that he would take Jiraiya to his favorite shop, and Jiraiya expressed his excitement to see it. Naruto led Jiraiya to the Ichiraku ramen shop, where Itachi and Ayam were waiting. Itachi greeted them, and Ayam was busy preparing ramen. Itachi asked Jiraiya when he had returned from his mission, expressing how nice it was to see him again. They chatted for a while before finishing their meal. Once they were done, Jiraiya suggested showing Naruto his favorite place. They left the ramen shop, and Itachi and Ayam wished them to visit again soon. The walk to Jiraiya's favorite spot was a casual 5 to 7 minutes, and Jiraiya's excitement was evident on his face. When they arrived, Naruto was surprised to find it was a women's only hot spring. Jiraiya, unable to contain his curiosity, jumped onto the roof and used his camouflage skill to peek inside. Naruto recalled that Jiraiya had used the skill in their earlier battle, making it hard for him to pinpoint his location. Naruto called out to Jiraiya, questioning if this was really his favorite place. Jiraiya playfully revealed that his true favorite spot was actually a nearby tea house. Inside the tea house, an elderly lady greeted them. Jiraiya asked her for some garlic pickles, requesting a sprinkle of basil from her garden. The lady happily obliged. Jiraiya explained to Naruto that she was the only one who made those pickles, which were his favorite. Naruto teased him, pretending to be surprised that garlic pickles were his top choice, as he thought fried chicken was. Curious about Jiraiya's earlier skill, Naruto asked him to explain. Jiraiya described it as meisai, a technique that altered one's chakra level and nature to blend in with the surroundings, making it difficult to locate the user. They continued their conversation for a few more minutes before heading straight to the Hokage's office. Upon entering the office, Naruto noticed that, despite being cleaned, it still bore a reddish tint and had an unusual scent lingering in the air. He commented on the state of the office, questioning whether it had been cleaned or made messy. He also noted that it seemed more spacious than before. Turning to Hiruzen, he asked what had happened to his face. Hiruzen explained that he had received a thorough scolding from Biwako, who had also taken his extensive collection of Ika magazines. He reassured Naruto that he still had his hidden platinum collections safely stored away. Naruto, realizing Hiruzen's predicament, offered to heal his wounds and take care of the mess. Using his healing technique, he restored Hiruzen's health. Then, he used a jutsu to clean the stains on the walls and another to evaporate any remaining moisture. Finally, he sprayed a unique perfume that filled the room with a delightful scent, one that both Hiruzen and Jiraiya had never encountered before. Hiruzen then revealed that he had a secret mission for Naruto and Jiraiya. They had received information about one of Orochimaru's hideouts, and he wanted them to investigate it. He expressed confidence in their abilities, especially with Jiraiya accompanying Naruto. The mission was set to begin the next morning at 5 a.m. Jiraiya acknowledged the mission, and both he and Naruto vanished in a puff of smoke. An Umbu appeared, questioning Hiruzen about his decision to send Naruto and Jiraiya instead of a more experienced team. Hiruzen explained that while Jiraiya was indeed strong, he was sending Naruto along to protect him. He elaborated on Naruto's incredible abilities, detailing how he had mastered techniques that were beyond the reach of most shinobi. He recounted how Naruto had once transformed a vast desert into a forest using a forbidden jutsu, showcasing the immense chakra he possessed. The Umbu was left speechless, realizing the extent of Naruto's power. As Naruto and Jiraiya prepared to leave, Naruto told his sensei to meet him at the gate the next day, to which Jiraiya agreed. After the two left, Hiruzen settled down to read his Ika Ika Paradise magazine. Just as he was about to open it, Buwako appeared at the door, revealing that she had taken care of his collection and that more magazines were still hidden away. It didn't matter to Hiruzen. He was determined to confront them all. He had already claimed the Star Collection, and now he set his sights on the Platinum Collection. Hiruzen declared that he would not surrender his Platinum Collection and was prepared to face his opponent. As he moved toward Buwako, she observed his approach with a smirk, noting that instead of fleeing, he was coming closer despite the destruction of his collections. Hiruzen understood that he needed to get nearer to save his magazine. Buwako taunted him, inviting him to come as close as he wished. With a sudden burst of energy, Hiruzen leaped down toward her feet, but instead of launching an attack, he found himself pleading. He begged her not to take his Platinum Collection. Buwako scoffed at his desperation, dismissing his pleas as futile. The narrator revealed Hiruzen Sarutobi as the stand master, with the stand named Ika Ika Paradise, now retired. Buwako then claimed both his Star Collection and Platinum Collection as her own. In that moment, Hiruzen was overwhelmed by despair, marking the end of his journey. To be continued. Previously, Naruto and Jiraiya had set off on their mission to investigate the Sand Village. As they approached the Land of Rivers, both were dashing forward with determination. Suddenly, Naruto sensed a wave of malicious chakra emanating from the forest. Although faint, his heightened awareness allowed him to detect it. This aura felt like the remnants of countless lives lost. He came to a halt, scanning the area for its source. Jiraiya noticed Naruto's sudden stop and the intensity of his expression. "Is something wrong?" Jiraiya asked, his tone shifting to one of alertness. "I feel an impure aura coming from that direction," Naruto replied, pointing towards the north-northeast with a serious look. "What nonsense are you babbling, Naruto?" "I don't sense anything," Jiraiya responded, skepticism evident in his voice. "Use your glasses, pervy sage, and see for yourself," Naruto urged. Jiraiya donned his glasses and observed a faint flow of hazy purple chakra coming from the indicated direction. "What is this chakra?" "It's so faint that I can't pick it up, but your senses are impressive," Jiraiya remarked, astonished. They both rushed toward the source of the ominous energy. As they drew closer, a strange sensation coursed through Naruto, a mix of familiarity and unease. After a few miles, they arrived at their destination, a small cave cleverly hidden by the surrounding foliage. Finding it would have been nearly impossible without Naruto's keen senses. As they approached the entrance, a familiar voice greeted them. The figure that emerged had a pale, snake-like appearance and striking slit-pupil eyes. Jiraiya's expression shifted to one of surprise as he recognized the voice. "Orochimaru," Jiraiya exclaimed, throwing a kunai and leaping to a defensive stance. The kunai flew past Orochimaru, who remained unmoved. It seemed the kunai's creator had either been a genius or a fool, as it rarely hit its target. "Sorry, that was supposed to hit me. I should have jumped into its path," Orochimaru replied playfully. "Yes, you should have," Jiraiya responded, slightly embarrassed. "Setting that aside, I should have known it was you. What brings you here?" Jiraiya asked, drawing another kunai. So you're approaching me? Orochimaru said, his tone laced with menace. How can I defeat you without getting closer? Jiraiya replied, his voice serious. Stop. You're breaking the fourth wall again. Those lines are getting old, Naruto interjected, his tone fierce. Shut up. Don't interrupt when adults are speaking, both Jiraiya and Orochimaru shouted at Naruto. Anyway, I'm not in the mood to fight. Battling a friend I've just reunited with isn't appealing, Orochimaru said nonchalantly. Okay, then answer my questions, Jiraiya said, retracting his kunai as he inquired. I'll answer your questions, but first, come inside my hideout and have some tea, Orochimaru invited, stepping into the cave. Let's go inside, Naruto insisted. Don't go in, it might be a trap. As far as I know, Orochimaru is dangerous and could be planning something, Jiraiya cautioned, his eyes scanning the surroundings. No need to worry. I've checked the area and found no traps, nor do I sense any intent to harm us. If he had any thoughts of attacking, I would know immediately. If he tried, we could escape using my technique, Naruto reassured Jiraiya. They followed Orochimaru into his hideout. Upon entering, Jiraiya was taken aback by the sight before him. The space was a beautiful garden stretching for miles, filled with every kind of flower and herb. It was an artificial paradise, complete with a sunlit sky and breathtaking scenery. Jiraiya couldn't help but admire the beauty around him. The garden had two distinct sections. One was a stunning Japanese-style garden adorned with wisteria trees, while the other was a majestic sakura tree garden. Jiraiya's heart soared at the sight, and he found a spot beneath a tree, inspiration striking him. He quickly began drafting a romance novel, pouring his heart into the story. After a few hours, he completed the first part, feeling a sense of pride like never before. He titled the series, Jiraiya-sama, Love is War, and shared it with Naruto. Initially hesitant, Naruto was captivated by the story and became an avid supporter of Jiraiya's writing. Do you like my creations? I planted them myself and designed everything, even the bridge, Orochimaru said, grinning with pride. It's breathtaking and strange. It seems much larger than it appears from outside. Why is that? Jiraiya asked, astonished. Orochimaru was about to explain when Naruto interrupted. It's a space matrix spell, an advanced one. How did you acquire such a skill? He asked, curiosity shining in his eyes. First, I call this garden, the Garden of Eden. As for how I obtained the skill, it feels like it was always within me, surfacing naturally, Orochimaru replied. Since we know each other a bit now, can you show me your Jutsu? Naruto asked eagerly. Jutsu? What is that? Orochimaru replied, confusion evident on his face. Naruto explained the technique in detail. Ah, you remind me of an old man I knew long ago. You even share his essence and chakra. Do you know him by any chance? Tisuch, what am I thinking? How could you know him? Orochimaru mused, disappointment creeping into his voice. What is life essence? Naruto asked, intrigued. Life essence refers to the aura and life force within a being, Orochimaru explained. And is that old man you mentioned Cammy? Naruto inquired, his tone filled with curiosity. What? How do you know about Cammy? Are you related to him? Orochimaru asked, astonished. Yes, he is my foster father. He taught me everything I know. Naruto asked with an admiring tone if Orochimaru knew about a certain figure. Orochimaru admitted that his memories were a bit fuzzy. He recognized the name but had never met the person in question. He wondered why he knew so much. Intrigued by the connection he felt with Orochimaru, Naruto requested to see his palms. Orochimaru complied, and as Naruto focused his divine chakra into his fingertips, he transferred a small amount. As he suspected, a crest began to glow on the back of Orochimaru's palm, depicting a grim reaper, indicating the Preta path. Naruto expressed his realization about the malicious aura surrounding Orochimaru, identifying him as the possessor of the Preta path. Orochimaru, curious, inquired about what that meant. Naruto explained that it was a long story but mentioned he could partially cleanse Orochimaru's aura, although the rest would require Orochimaru's own effort since the aura was deeply embedded within him. Using divine cleansing flames, Naruto worked to reduce Orochimaru's malicious aura. After the process, the intensity of the aura diminished significantly. Orochimaru expressed his gratitude in a gentle tone. Instead of accepting the thanks, Naruto playfully requested Orochimaru to show him his transformation technique. Orochimaru agreed, acknowledging Naruto's help, and performed the technique. In an instant, he transformed into a graceful maiden. Amidst a shower of cherry blossoms, leaving both Naruto and Jiraiya in awe. Jiraiya, captivated by the sight, remarked that if Orochimaru were not a man, he would propose right then and there. Orochimaru, blushing, responded with a playful retort, calling Jiraiya foolish. Jiraiya continued to tease Orochimaru, who, despite his embarrassment, engaged in the friendly banter, revealing a playful side to his character. The light-hearted exchange continued, showcasing their camaraderie and the unique bond they shared. Jiraiya, Naruto, and Orochimaru sat in the cherry blossom garden. Orochimaru had prepared some dumplings and served Jiraiya tea. The cherry blossoms danced gently in the soft breeze, and the mist floated gracefully over the willow by the pond, creating a scene that was both enchanting and serene. After a moment, Orochimaru inquired about Jiraiya's presence in the land of rivers, wondering if he was on his way to the sand village. Jiraiya casually replied that they were indeed on a mission to the sand village but had come across Orochimaru along the way. Naruto, captivated by the beauty of the garden, expressed his reluctance to leave, noting how stunning the place was. Jiraiya admired Orochimaru's garden, stating that such a magnificent space could only be created by someone with a hermit's soul and a maiden's heart. Surrounded by the cherry blossoms, Naruto felt a unique chakra enveloping the area, as if the petals were releasing a special energy. This inspired him to conceive a new technique, which he named the Blissful Blossoms of Half-Destiny, realizing it was an incomplete jutsu that possessed swiftness but lacked sharpness. Suddenly, one of Orochimaru's swords began to resonate with the jutsu, prompting Naruto to grab the hilt and unsheath the Zanpakuto, Senbonzakura. As he did, the blossom chakra was absorbed, enhancing the sword's power. A voice echoed in Naruto's mind, urging him to use Bankai. Surprised, he recognized the voice belonged to Senbonzakura. After activating Bankai, millions of swords emerged from the ground, transforming into blossoms. Although they were sharp, Naruto realized they lacked the finesse he desired. As any determined ninja would, he combined his new technique with the sword's power, creating the blissful blossoms of true destiny. In an instant, Senbonzakura vanished, but Naruto understood that it would always materialize in his hands when he thought of it. Jiraiya reminded Naruto that it was time to focus on their mission, but Naruto was eager to discuss the Reaper's seal with Orochimaru. Orochimaru, flustered and unsure, hesitated, but Naruto clarified that he meant to challenge him for the seal. Orochimaru, confident, declared that Naruto would have to defeat him first. Naruto proposed they settle the matter outside, and Jiraiya volunteered to referee the duel. With a loud announcement, the battle began. Naruto dropped Senbonzakura and formed a hand sign, unleashing a wave of flames that surged toward Orochimaru. Realizing he couldn't evade the attack, Orochimaru summoned a defensive technique, but it was ineffective against the flames. Anticipating Orochimaru's move, Naruto initiated an earth-style technique, causing the ground to tremble violently. Though Orochimaru was momentarily overwhelmed, he managed to survive. He then declared that he would no longer hold back. In response, Naruto challenged him to bring it on. Orochimaru used Sage Jutsu to transform into a giant snake, and Naruto, undeterred, smirked and activated his Bankai. As the petals of Senbonzakura sliced through the air, Orochimaru, despite being lacerated, somehow managed to regenerate. He boasted about his immortality, but Naruto countered by activating his eternal Mangekyo Sharingan and launching Tsukuyomi. Orochimaru fell to the ground, realizing he had been deceived into underestimating Naruto. Inside the realm of Tsukuyomi, time flowed differently, and Orochimaru endured an eternity of torment. As he suffered, he experienced despair like never before, ultimately begging for release from the nightmare. After what felt like a century, Naruto released the jutsu, revealing that only a few moments had passed in the real world. Naruto explained that while Orochimaru's body seemed immortal, his mind was not. Orochimaru, shaken by the experience, acknowledged his newfound understanding. Naruto, feeling remorseful for the intensity of the ordeal, offered to help Orochimaru heal from the trauma. He created a halo of divine energy and placed it above Orochimaru's head, calming him instantly. Orochimaru felt gratitude for the gifts he had received, though the memory of his suffering would linger in his soul. Somehow, it heightened his awareness of reality. Jiraiya announced Naruto as the victor, while Orochimaru transferred his Reaper crest to him. Their earlier battle had lasted an entire day, culminating in Naruto's triumph. As dawn faded and dusk approached, the crimson rays of twilight bathed Naruto, signifying his victory. Chapter End. Previously, Naruto defeated Jiraiya. The next day, Naruto and Jiraiya met as they had planned near the exit of Konoha. Naruto suggested they get going, and Jiraiya asked if he had packed some lunch. Naruto confirmed he had brought melon bread for himself and dumplings and tea for Jiraiya, even adding some garlic pickles. Jiraiya expressed his approval and then, with a mischievous grin, inquired if Naruto had packed something else. Naruto was taken aback, wondering how Jiraiya knew about the items he had hidden. Jiraiya explained that while Naruto could fool others, he could not fool him. Naruto revealed that he had replaced the items with identical substitutes to avoid detection, recalling their names: Star Platinum, Master, Gold, and other volumes from the Ika Paradise collection. Jiraiya eagerly requested to have them all. Naruto hesitated, asking why he should give them up. Jiraiya insisted he needed them for research purposes, prompting Naruto to hand them over with a playful attitude. Jiraiya then asked about a new project Naruto had been working on, which was a multi-purpose communication device that could connect people across great distances. It had some additional features that made it even more intriguing. Jiraiya was impressed, realizing they could communicate with the hidden nations instantly. He was curious about the device's special features, and Naruto explained that it could capture audio, take portraits, play music, and record videos for playback. Jiraiya, with a grin, saw the potential for recording his visit. Naruto then handed Jiraiya a pair of sunglasses, insisting they were for his research, not for sun protection. Jiraiya put them on and was amazed to see Naruto's chakra network. However, he quickly realized that seeing through clothing was not as exciting as he had hoped. Naruto decided to use a transformation technique to change his appearance, which elicited a delighted reaction from Jiraiya, who was momentarily distracted. Naruto then surprised Jiraiya by wishing him a happy birthday, which left Jiraiya astonished, as no one else knew about it. Naruto explained that his unique dojutsu allowed him to see things others could not, including Jiraiya's true name and other details that brought him mixed feelings. At that moment, Hiruzen appeared before them, surprised that Jiraiya had not yet left for his mission. He commented on their appearance and noted that Naruto seemed to be up to mischief early in the day. Jiraiya, feeling unwell, unexpectedly lost his breakfast, prompting Hiruzen to remark on the rudeness of such behavior. Jiraiya clarified that it was not Hiruzen he was reacting to, but rather what he had seen. Naruto suggested Jiraiya remove his glasses, and after doing so, Jiraiya apologized for his earlier reaction. Hiruzen then offered them some steamed buns, which both Naruto and Jiraiya devoured eagerly. Hiruzen pointed out that they should not go on an empty stomach, especially before a mission. Naruto explained that he had been in a hurry and handed Hiruzen 4 communication devices, instructing him to distribute them to the Kages of the 5 great nations, including the Kazekage. Hiruzen was impressed by the devices, realizing they would eliminate the need for messenger birds. Jiraiya added that the devices had other features that might interest Hiruzen, who was intrigued. Naruto, noticing the two of them muttering, urged them to focus on their mission, as they needed to reach Suna village soon. Jiraiya retorted, calling Naruto the biggest pervert, to which Naruto playfully defended his innocence. Hiruzen reminded them it was time to leave for their mission, and with that, Naruto and Jiraiya set off, while Hiruzen returned to his office. Chapter End.